Where are the low-value men?
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. You can believe that. You can believe that. You can believe that.
Contracted COVID, but says with a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, he's now recovered.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
From the headlines to the whisper start. Low value mail. Low value mail at 9 o'clock. Where truth and fiction take a walk.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Our stories are.
Good evening, Scroats. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Low Value Mail. On this Monday, April 28th, 2025, the year of our Lord. And it's also election night in Canada. Was the title of my thumbnail a little bit clickbaity? Could this be the end of Canada? I don't know, maybe. I don't know. But tonight is the election. I know a lot of you do not give a shit. But it's my show. And, you know, I think it is somewhat pertinent to things. We're joined by a very special guest in the second hour. Joining me is Dan Richards, a.k.a. DeDunker. Dan makes videos about alternate history from the perspective of a skeptic, debunking erroneous claims against alternative history. He's been on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he will be joining us in the second hour. Very exciting stuff. I also have another very special guest, although he's walking away right now to go drink some water. It's none other than Connor Dog. He was right beside me. I brought him to the studio tonight because the wife's out of town. And my wife got one of those stupid ass cameras to spy on the dog all the time. I don't know what it does. All we know is that when we leave, he just barks nonstop. He howls. We didn't even know he could howl, but he does. Connor, come here. Come here. Making his Low Value Mail debut, everybody, it's Connor. Connor, say hi. He's not liking this. He's not a huge fan. I think he's got he's got a little stream fright, if you will. Connor, say what's up. All right, that's enough of that. Anyways, hey Connor. All right, let's get to it. Connor's eating his made in America turkey tendons right now, so he'll be busy. He'll be entertained while we have a good show. All right, it's the Canada election tonight, everybody. And again, I know many of you do not care. Currently, the Liberals are leading. They're winning. Give it up for Canada being such a retarded nation that they potentially, likely, might actually elect another Liberal government after 10 years. I'll try and keep up with it throughout the show. And like I said, I know a lot of you don't care about Canada. I'm probably not going to be talking. Well, I was thinking like I might not be talking a lot about Canada going forward, but then I might also, because again, you know, I know everybody's like, who gives a shit about Canada? But you know, this election could potentially lead to an increase in the U.S.'s landmass. So it seems pretty pertinent. We got a banger Trump tweet today, or a truth, if you will, because he still doesn't tweet. Or he does tweet, but these just get reposted to some random truths from Trump account. He said this today. He said, "Good luck to the great people of Canada. Elect the man who has the strength and wisdom to cut your taxes in half, increase your military power for free to the highest level in the world, have your car, steel, aluminum, lumber, energy, and all other businesses quadruple in size with zero tariffs or taxes," that's capitalized. "If Canada becomes the cherished 51st state of the United States of America, no more artificially drawn line from many years ago. Look how beautiful this landmass would be. Free access with no border, all positives with no negatives. It was meant to be. Exclamation mark. America can no longer subsidize Canada with the hundreds of billions of dollars a year that we have been spending in the past. It makes no sense unless Canada is a state. What the fuck does this even mean? Last I checked, Trump's not on the ballot. He's not even an option. The last I checked, what is he talking about? Like he literally is like, elect me. You're like, you're not one of the options, man. So I don't know what he's talking about. And look, I know this is treasonous behavior on my part because I've said it before that if Obama had proposed something like this, Canadians would be eating this slop up. They would be like, that sounds like a great idea, Barack Hussein Obama. You're so fucking diverse, man. God damn it. That guy's so diverse. We love it. But Trump says, and they go, no. And look, if you remove the emotion from the equation, there is no question that it is a net benefit for Canada. Look, like I know I was just in Canada. Shout out to everybody who came to the shows in Vancouver. I got fucking E. coli. I went to a fucking Tim Hortons at the airport in Vancouver. Because here's the thing. I don't know if Americans quite have the allegiance to say like a Dunkin' Donuts or something. But Canadians, when you've been away from Canada for a while, you see a Tim Hortons, you go. You just go. You go, that's... And I don't even like their coffee. But damn, did they used to make a mean bagel. And I live in New York. And comparatively, it's dog shit. And they have all these new foods now, which are disgusting. You can get pizza and like rice bowls and stuff, like Chipotle bowls, essentially, from Tim Hortons. Why you would ever want that? No idea. But I land at 11 at night, a long travel day. I go, you know what? I hit the spot right now. I had a JetBlue flight. By the way, JetBlue, I don't know when this happened. Most uncomfortable seats out of any airline. I took JetBlue there, JetBlue back. There's just metal just digging into your ass the whole time. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But they have a little like closet thing in the middle of the plane, and you just help yourself to snacks. So I was going ham on the fucking granola bars, as you would. But anyways, I landed. I'm going to get a bagel. Got a bagel. Got to get a slice of tomato on that bagel. Herman garlic cream cheese, everything bagel. That's the order. Get it. Boom. I get E. coli. Not diagnosed. I never went, but I asked Grok and ChatGPT and stuff, and it seems like I had all the symptoms of, I don't know if it was low-grade E. coli. I think it was like medium-grade E. coli. It sucked. So if you saw any of those shows, just know the entire time I was performing, I was doing my absolute best to not shit myself. I'm telling you, and I say this with no exaggeration, I would just be on the toilet all day. I'm sorry this is graphic. On the toilet all day, go to the show, come back, on the toilet until 3 a.m. Literally every 15 minutes. It was rough. Otherwise, good shows, though. Good shows. It was a good time. Anyway, stay away from Tim Hortons. That's the last thing I eat at Tim Hortons. And no, I will not tell you the race of the people who made my bagel. I will not tell you that. But you can assume. But again, Canadians worried if they were to join up with America, we're going to lose our socialized healthcare and there'll be guns everywhere. But here's the thing. There are guns in Canada already. The bad people who want guns in Canada, they get them. They absolutely get them. They get smuggled in from the United States. And you would think if those people were now a little more mobile. Oh, we got a Connor barking. Connor, quit it. This is why I don't bring him to the show, because he'll just bark. There's nobody even around. There's nothing even to bark at. Eat your chicken strip. I don't know if this is good TV or radio or bad. I don't know, but I have a dog. I have an animal in the studio right now. That's right. But again, it's like maybe those people who like guns, all the bad people who get guns to do bad things, maybe they'll just move to America. And then that's almost like, hey, if you're like a Canadian, that's actually kind of takes care of itself. Be like, hey, you're fucking Florida's problem or something. And then when they go down to Florida, or Texas or something, then that has a way of handling itself, right? And then I'm sure they could figure out a way to figure out the socialized healthcare thing where they can keep it. But again, I know this is, the diehard Canadians, which, I guess 60 and up, 50 and up. I'm sure some of them are like, yeah, I'm Canadian. I don't want to be part of America, but there probably are a lot of people who want to be part of America, but not if Trump's proposing them. For maximum, it looks like Carney's going to win, which is, I can't. I mean, I said it on this show months ago. I go, man, that would be a good bet for Mark Carney on Polymarket when he was like 18% or something. He was in the teens to win. He's currently, Polymarket has him at, he's dropped 5% in the last couple hours. I said this on the Boys Cast last week too, because I've kind of deferred to Polymarket on the entire election thing. But one thing that I didn't factor in was how easy Polymarket for the Canadian election could be gamed, because there's only been $83 million bet. Now there's other markets, obviously. I don't know what the totality, if you took every betting market. I know in Canada, like you can bet on like Bet365, all that stuff. You can bet everywhere. I don't know what the total volume is, but 83 million, not that much. The US election was in the billions, several $1 billion. That would be hard to rig that. You would need a substantial sum of money to rig it. This, not as much. And if you're the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, who has done all sorts of nonsense in Canada, that might be money well spent. Legitimately. They might just be like, that is money well spent. Drop $50 million to rig Polymarket just to make people think that Carney is actually in the lead, and then people are either discouraged, like, oh, there's no point of voting, he's going to win, or they actually vote for him. They're dumb enough to vote for him. I don't know. But for maximum entertainment value for the next several years, it will be a Carney would be the best option. That'll be the most fireworks. But then also that'll probably be the worst for Canada overall. So I don't know. I will give credit to the Liberal Party. They played this absolutely perfectly. They were gifted the whole Trump plus the tariffs plus the 51st state stuff. Pierre Poilievre literally had a 90% chance on Polymarket to win in January. This is, I don't even know what, this is like the Warriors blowing it to the Cavs, or like the Falcons. This is the Falcons against the Patriots right here. This is an epic meltdown. It's insane. But again, whoever's running the Liberal Party in Canada, the strategy, they deserve a raise because they played this absolutely perfectly. They got rid of Trudeau, shut down Parliament. They basically were like, Poilievre is just a little Trump Jr. Poilievre dropped the ball. Insane. And I will say, I want to give credit to America. Greatest nation on earth. No question. No question. Because America does it right in terms of politics. And I know some of you are very partisan people, very likely, and you're like, I fucking hate whatever the other party is. I hate them. They're just a bunch of idiots. I hate them. They're dumb idiots, and this country would be best if we just got rid of, just deport them all to Guatemala or El Salvador, sorry. Right? But America does it right because they literally, it's almost even Democratic Republican rule here. Like if I was going back to all the presidents, and it just like, you literally, it's perfect yin and yang. It is, which is the name of the people who made my bagel, but it's near perfect. Like you have the perfect like pull of each side, where if one side gets, too crazy, then the other side steps in and just brings everything back. Whereas Canada, I looked since the 60s, they've had, I think it was, I calculated 19 years of conservative government in the last 60 some odd years. So they don't quite have that balance. And that's why you get, now again, maybe Poilievre wins and we get 10 years of that, and then that restores order in that sense. But generally it doesn't work that way. It doesn't really work that way. So America does it right. Last week, a judge in Milwaukee was arrested. Actually, let's go check out some super chats. Let's see what you guys have to say. You guys liking Connor? Anton says, Jew-oo. Okay. C-Dumps says, LFG, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Renz Israd says, can't wait to listen to this tomorrow at work. Patrick Riley says, how much for a Connor cam? I don't know. I don't think I have well, I mean, I probably could get a Connor cam going. It would be distracting. He's just sleeping right now. I'll bring him back on. Renz is Rad says, oh shit, what's the minimum? Don't know what that's a reference to. Bobo McHua says, go on Tower Gang or no way, Jose. I'll be happy to. And Anton says, America will liberate Canada from those commies. It is funny because, so they have all the, you can go like, I'm on the CBC website. The Liberals are currently, have 23 total, or 19-6 currently. But they have all these parties. There's like 20 parties. And there is a Communist Party of Canada, which currently has, let's see, the Communist Party of Canada currently has 68 votes. I just learned of this new party. It's called the Party Rhinoceros Party. It's a French thing, and it's a literal joke party. I was just reading about it before it started. They're like, we're a joke party. Our only promise is that we will not keep our promises. And they have 240 votes. So the Party Rhinoceros Party, the joke party, has almost quadrupled the amount of votes of the Communist Party. The Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada has only 40 votes. Why vote for them? Just stay home. What is that? What does that accomplish? I don't know. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Poison 1553 says, hello from my toilet. Gross, man. Although, after my little E. coli incident last week, I feel you, dog. Hope it's not that. But yeah, so last week, and we're going to open the phone lines soonish. Last week, the FBI arrested Milwaukee judge Hannah Dugan for obstructing justice. So she had, I don't know if I'm sure some of you have seen this. She had an illegal alien in court who was charged with beating a man and a woman. The story, because I looked into this, because I want to know what the details are here. So a roommate, because when you read the articles, they just go, the man beat another man and a woman over like a loudspeaker. And I can go either way on this, to be honest, because if they had the loudspeaker and this guy's just like, turn that shit down, I go, I support this man. He should stay. This is the type of person who we want in America. I know he's not a citizen. I know he's not here legally. But if he's willing to beat the shit out of somebody for antisocial behavior, like blaring speakers too loud in public spaces, I go, this is the type of man, I'm telling you, I know some of you might not agree with me, this is the type of man we want in America. However, that's not the case. What happened was a roommate of the man asked him to turn his loud music down, to which he responded by punching the man 30 times and hitting the woman. El Salvador. That's the only option for these people. I don't care. El Salvador. Okay. Also, my Canadian brain, as someone who considers myself a guest in America, my Canadian brain just cannot comprehend how someone would come to America illegally twice. This is the second time. He was already deported, and then he came back again. You're like, you made it here, okay? You're here. Why are you committing crimes? Do you have that little impulse control where you're like, or do you really not give a shit? Or do you just think there's no repercussions to anything when like you're already here illegally and then you're committing crimes? That is some of the craziest shit. Like my Canadian brain just cannot comprehend. Also, I would like them to not stop at deporting people or deporting illegal aliens, rather, for these antisocial loudspeakers in public. They should deport any person. I don't care if you're a citizen of this country. I know that you have certain inalienable rights or whatever. El Salvador. If you're playing loud music in public, if you're disrupting people, disturbing them, El Salvador. Just send them all. You'll be doing literally everybody a fucking favor. Also, weird little thing out of the UK, the Liberal Democrats in the United Kingdom they just introduced a piece of legislation calling for fines of up to £1,000 or quid for headphone dodgers, which is hilarious. Guys, new racist term just dropped. Headphone dodgers. Use that as you may. Use it as you may, okay? Don't say I put you up to it, right? 1,000-pound fine for headphone dodgers, which is so funny. That could be used. I don't even think I need to tell you how headphone dodgers could be used. You guys know how headphone dodgers could be used, right? But 1,000 pounds for headphone dodgers who play loud music and videos on public transport. Finally, the UK gets something right. Also, that's racist, UK. That is racist. I mean, I'll tell you, it doesn't sound like this bill is going to pass in the UK. But if it did, and they started seeing the fucking demographics of these quote unquote headphone dodgers, not looking good. Not looking good. But anyway, so this judge finds out that ICE is waiting outside to deport this guy who had crossed into the U.S. illegally 2 times. And then she decides, because I don't know if you saw a photo of her. There's a photo of her in her court. She's wearing a mask. And then there's like a bust of Abraham Lincoln. And she put a mask on the bust of Abraham Lincoln. So I think that's all you need to know. All you need to know about this woman, this judge. But so she basically finds out that ICE is waiting to apprehend this guy for being in the country illegally, beating up a man and a woman. And he's a headphone dodger, which is my main issue with him. I do not like these headphone dodgers whatsoever. And then she basically just lets him leave out the back door. She goes, hey, I don't want ICE to pick you up here. So you can just leave out the back door to avoid apprehension. And again, like with everything, if the roles were reversed, this is a Republican judge and a Democratic president, the left would love this. They would be like, yeah, fucking lock that judge up, that piece of shit. I don't care what they did. Lock him up. And again, the left is very much, you've seen it a million times in response to Trump. They go, nobody's above the law. Nobody is above the law. Well, this seems like pretty clear-cut obstruction. And also, the funny thing is, she got arrested 6 years to the day of another judge getting arrested, also under Trump, for doing something similar. So at least there's some consistency. At the very least. But, when Trump does it, this is how fascism starts, blah, 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 blah. Vincent says, what exactly is a headphone dodger? It's a British slang for someone who doesn't want to use headphones. And let me tell you, it just made it into my nomenclature. That is something I'm going to be using for a very long time. Drew Huntley says, I'm calling in to interview Connor. Connorcast. Hold on, let me grab him again. Connor, come here. He's returned. His breath smells like shit. How's it going, Connor? Connor, care to say anything? You guys hear him sniffing the mic? All right, that's all for Connor. I don't think he likes to be used as a prop like this, but you got to do what you got to do. He's pretty jazzed up, I'll tell you. He's just pumped to be here. He's just happy to be here. Chris LeBlanc says, first time in 14 years I didn't vote. My options were Indians and Punjabis. What a shame Canadians don't see their demographic destiny of their nation. So why wouldn't you at least vote then? I mean, surely, especially with the way Cardi's going, you would think that you should really vote because the options are bad or way fucking worse. Disagree there, Chris. I think you fucked up, man. I don't know if you still have time to vote if you're on the West Coast. Turn off this show. Go vote. All right. Do we got Mark here yet? Mark said he was running a little late. So I actually can't open the phone lines because Mark is not here. Well, I guess I could. I'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. All right. The phone lines are open. Mark will not be putting you on hold, though, for I think he's going to be here in 5 minutes. So we're going to do our open lines half hour, and then we're going to be joined by Dan at the top of the hour. So if you have anything you'd like to talk about. Also, the Virginia Goffrey thing, if you saw, I just wanted to, cue the conspiracy theories as Epstein and Prince Andrew accuser Virginia Goffrey died by suicide over the weekend. Last time I spoke about this was about a month ago. She was in the news for getting hit by a bus going an insane speed in Australia, and doctors gave her exactly 4 days to live, as I spoke about this, which again, at the time I thought was incredibly odd. I found the whole story suspicious, not in the sense that someone was trying to kill her, but just that things didn't add up. And again, I'm sure she suffered from all sorts of trauma and whatnot, mental trauma, things of that sort. But, that doesn't stop people from speculating. But anyways, that's, I guess, an end to that story. Okay, I'm going to take some phone calls in a moment. So if you don't get through, I'm sorry. But I'll figure this out because I don't have Mark right now. He should be here any minute. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you are an audio listener. Make sure to follow the podcast, leave a review. If we hit the super chat goal, I'm going to do an extra 30 minutes of open lines. Plus, if you sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL, I'll be giving away $500 once I hit 500 patrons. So if you enjoy the show, sign up, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, $5 a month. Also, this will come as happy news to some of you, but I received a ton of messages, and when I was in Vancouver, I personally met a lot of people, and these people all said the same thing, which was they said, please do not cancel the bathhouse. It's my only reason for existence. So, being a man of the people, I have given the bathhouse a stay of execution, at least for a bit. I don't know what's going to change between now and when I finally just fucking man up and just end it all. But for now, the bathhouse will continue. Also, if you care about this show and the bathhouse, and you want them to continue for a long time, I only ask you one thing, and it is not for money. The only way the show is going to grow, and the bathhouse, is basically by word of mouth. So if you know someone who you think just might like the show, just tell them. Be like, hey, you like wacky call-in shows? It's a pretty niche audience, but I'm sure a lot of you are autistic and have autistic friends. So just tell someone. And also, if you want to see me this weekend, I'll be in Edmonton at the House of Comedy. Also, fucking Oilers are killing me in honestly one of the greatest series I've ever seen. If you're a hockey fan, it has been incredible. However, my show on Thursday night is during Game 6. My show on Saturday night is during Game 7. So I'm fucked. I am absolutely fucked. But if you want to come out on Friday or Sunday, or just come out during the shows, I mean, I'm not going to lie, if there's a Game 7, I'd rather watch the show too. But that's not it. Also, one last thing. If anybody here has any experience making clips, if you are an editor and you have any experience making specifically clips for like Instagram, YouTube, and you want to make some money, hit me up. I need someone to help me make some clips. Okay, Mark has just arrived. So we can take some calls. Okay. You can call in. Sorry about the delay there. Mark's here. Phone lines are open, 1-888-949-2969. Reagan Foster says, Connor isn't a prop, he's a co-host. If only. His breath is too bad to be a co-host. Reagan says, going to skip the Leafs game for the bathhouse tomorrow. I am going to skip the Leafs game for the bathhouse tomorrow, as much as it kills me. I'll keep track of it. I honestly, the Leafs this is going to be. I know I've been hurt by them so many times, but the Leafs are going to handle the Senators. This series, I'm not worried about it. The next one against either Florida or Tampa is going to be a problem. Hopefully it's Tampa. But, Mark says he can do clips. Okay, well then maybe disregard. I didn't know that was an option. All right, let's take some calls here. We've got probably Slav. Hello. You're on Low Value Mail.
Hello.
What's up, man?
Hear me?
Yup.
It's good. It's good that you stuck back into our glorious country, man.
Hey, man. Dude, it's honestly, everybody's like, oh, God, you got to be so worried. And I was like, it's exactly the same as it's always been.
I mean, what is a funny prank? Like, if you live in America and you meet, like, an uppity British person, literally just take a photo of them in a video saying, yeah, I do agree with what you said. about immigrants and just send that, DM that to Metro UK Police and Heathrow Airport, them motherfuckers gonna lose their minds.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they're citizens, then they're fine. No country's not.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, I mean, it's the citizens who get arrested. So.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
hey,
you're saying for that.
Yeah. So I had this idea. So what if every single flag in Alberta was American? Like they took down all the Canadian flags. They took down all the sodomite flags. I'm gonna use my best language.
Sure.
They took down, every flag in Alberta and Yukon, and maybe they'll try in BC, but every flag in those two territories, because I want to connect Montana to Alaska, was an American flag. Do you think that could be like a peaceful annexation?
The thing is that the problem that everybody says with the whole, and I've said that I think there's a potentiality of if Carney wins, that and there is like a real Alberta secession movement gaining steam. Whether or not it can really happen that's a different story, because there's all these elements to it. But the thing is, Albertans are very proud Albertans. They're more proud of Alberta than they are of being Canadian. However, like every metropolitan, like Calgary and Edmonton, which is basically 1 million apiece, those are very blue. Although it's so weird because in Canada, conservative is blue, and in America, blue is Democrat, which is so weird. But they're very, or sorry, I guess it would be red. Sorry, they're very liberal in those two cities. So like the main, like Calgary and Edmonton, most of those people probably don't want to join America, but everybody outside of there probably does, I would think.
I mean, I'm fine with giving them with like some sort of like territorial status where like anything, like just give them anything where it's like, you guys ain't Canada no more and you get our Bill of Rights.
Yeah. Does Puerto Rico have the United States Bill of Rights?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, they don't pay taxes. They don't vote. They're
not allowed to vote. They're
population.
Yeah. They have no representation.
Population. They're indigenous. They hold razor blades in their mouth.
That's just self-defense. That's just prudent self-defense right there. Razor blade in your mouth.
Well, they're all savages anyways.
Yeah.
This Paul brothers live there because they don't want to pay taxes.
Peter Schiff lives there
as well. Yeah. No, dude. I think I'm open to welcoming them to be part of our, being our cohort.
I mean, it's manifest destiny, right? Isn't that the whole point? That America just kind of gradually expands its territory?
I mean, dude, I ain't a fan of the Mormons. I'll never be a fan of them, but goddamn, I hope they are right that Jesus' second coming is in America, and that they are correct, because as a geologist, that all of North America has been blessed by God for all of our natural resources.
I mean, God was looking out for North America, that's for sure. Not Mexico, though. He really fucking missed them. But
no, they got petroleum.
Yeah, they got
hot Latinas.
Yeah, they got
Latinas.
That's true.
So
big booty Latinas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, AOC. Yeah, no, she ain't from the Bronx. She's just a Westchester gal with a rich daddy. But
hey man, might be president AOC if things go fucking sideways.
Also, I do want like one Canadian province to be part of America, because then they will be given more freedoms to round up and kick out those who aren't Canadian. Subcontinentals.
Sure.
That's what I'm start calling them. The subcontinentals.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those in Canada right now. That's for sure. And again, I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. They're definitely not going to want to have. Not that they have any say in the matter, but certainly if Canada joins up with America, they're fucking gone.
Bro, the fact that they even breathe y'all's air is a goddamn disgrace.
I mean, I tell you, I was in Victoria, man. The air was fresh. Let me tell you, it was nice.
Oh, I've been there, dude. That Parliament building y'all got in Victoria.
Yeah,
Very
on the water. Yeah, it's really nice. All right, so I've got to let you go. I've got lots of other
Later.
calls, but I'm sure you'll call back. Slab everybody. Let's talk to Reese. Wants to chat about what's going on up in Canada. Currently, Liberals still in the lead, but again, this is going east to west, so that checks out. Reese, are you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
What's happening, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm glad I got to catch your show. I normally miss it.
Sure.
Got a busy life, but can't miss it when the Canadian election is going on.
I know. Big shit happening. Most consequential Canadian election of maybe ever. That's what some people are saying.
It seems like it, although I don't think anything will really change.
No.
But we'll see.
Well,
I had a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
About I have a lot of buddies that are kind of a part of the Canadian diaspora in the United States.
Okay.
And
Is it Canadian or comedian?
Canadian.
Canadian.
No,
Gotcha.
I have no comedian friends.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, lots of Canadians. Most of them have become U.S. citizens.
Mm-hmm.
But I was curious if you feel like there is a difference, any significant difference between Canadians that have moved to the United States and Canadians that have stayed in Canada.
Not really. No. I mean, it's so similar. Like, you know, if aside from the money being different and like very minor things, like culturally, it's nearly identical. Like, you know, the music's the same, the art, like,
yeah,
it's all the same. That's the thing. It's like it would be the easiest like adaptation of, you know, like two countries combining because the culture is already the same. Like it's not like you're like, hey, we're trying to join up like Poland and Germany or something where you're like, yeah, they speak two different languages. This is literally they speak the same language. They you know, it's all the same shit. It would be the most seamless integration by far. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
have you now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm curious about this. I haven't been to Canada ever. Are there a lot of Americans that live in Canada?
There's some. Yeah, they're definitely. I mean, my sister-in-law, she was born in Virginia and she lives in Canada.
Oh yeah, that's where I live. Yeah,
yeah. She's from Virginia. But yeah, there are like not a ton, but they definitely exist. Yeah, there's definitely Americans who live in Canada who just for whatever reason move there.
Did they stick out a lot?
No. Like unless you have like some crazy accent where you're like it's just clear you're American. No, it's just like, dude, the cultures are nearly identical. Like. Again, like there's this whole misnomer that's always been where everybody's been like, oh, Americans are so rude and Canadians are so polite. And you're like, it's not true. It's like maybe if you're in some really dense city or something, but if you go out in the sticks anywhere, whether it's Canada or America, everybody's very polite. Like if your car breaks down on the side of the road in rural Virginia or rural Ontario, you will get the identical response. Like someone's going to come and help you. Like it's so no, they don't stick out in any way. Like, you're never just like, oh, the fucking American. Like, no, not at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and it's interesting with all of the kind of Canada as the 51st state talk going on. And it feels like, at least from like a news media perspective, there's like a lot more tension and stuff. But yeah, we're just very similar people.
Yeah, very similar. And I said it, but I've said this, you know, multiple times now, but I'm like, the crazy thing is like Trump hasn't even made any kind of offer to Canadians to join America. Like, just imagine he offers every Canadian citizen like $100,000, which could be done. Like that, like they could, you know, that's only $4 trillion. And I say only, but you know, in terms of an investment, like that would be, and I don't even know if something like that's even possible, but like if he was just like, we'll give every Canadian $100,000 US, like that would be great for America. That would be great for every person in Canada. Like that would be such a win-win across the board. Yeah. There's so many people who are like young people who are like, yeah, I can never afford a house. And you go, all of a sudden you're like, here's $100,000 USD.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. And I mean, I work for the military. And there's clearly like, I mean, the whole thing, right, is about that kind of Northwest Passage.
Yeah.
That's just a sheet of ice right now. It's such a big strategic point for defense.
And Canada barely defends it. That's like a huge issue. I mean, I've said it before, but like Canada has as many military personnel as they have Canadian Revenue Agency employees, which is essentially like the IRS.
That's actually insane.
It's fucking crazy. Like when I saw that stat, I like literally couldn't believe it. And it's true. Like they do. So,
well, if anything good comes from all this, hopefully Canada kind of jacks up their military a little bit.
I mean, they're not going to though. I mean, it looks like fucking Carney's going to win.
You don't think that even with all this like nationalist talk that they're doing, that they won't put a little bit more money into it?
The problem with Canada is that they just like, there's no, what's the word here? Like they're not going to stick to this nationalism shit, right? Like if Carney gets in, I don't know how much Trump is going to try and turn up the temperature. Like everybody's like, Trump wants Carney to win because maybe he thinks that that'll be an easier path to getting Canada. I don't know what he has up his sleeve, but like, yes, the nationalist tone has been amped up in Canada, but also literally 8 months ago in Canada, it was like Canadians were like embarrassed to be Canadians. They were like ashamed of it because they're like, we have such a dark history and we treated the indigenous people so badly. So they literally went from like putting up a flag is like a shameful thing that you shouldn't do. And then now everybody's like, oh, flags everywhere. So you're like, they go with the wind, you know, like they'll be back to whatever the new thing is where they're self-flagellating and sad about being Canadian or whatever the fuck. So I don't know. I don't know where this goes, but I'm not confident. Like if they elect Mark Carney, like I'll just kind of throw my hands up and just be like, all right, well, you guys are getting what you're getting. No complaining, that's for sure.
As far as the strategy goes from Trump, I have an idea.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because, military invasion, I don't think that's a great idea. But I think we could pull a Texas, right?
Yeah.
Send a bunch of illegal immigrants over the border, like Alberta, let's say.
Sure.
And have them settle there, build families, and then after, 50 years, it's basically just part of America. You got to just settle enough Americans up there in the far north.
Sure, that eventually. The problem is everybody wants to be within 100 miles of the border. Also, I don't think Trump wants to play that kind of long game on this. He wants this to be.
No, yeah,
he wants this to be by.
I don't think it will ever.
Yeah, by 2028. No, I mean, I really think his whole move is just like, I'm going to economically devastate Canada to the point where like joining America will actually be this kind of off ramp where you go, look, like here's you guys your economy's fucked. Everybody's so like doing so poorly economically. Everything's so bad, and you're like, here's this just like easy off ramp where everybody wins. And just like take it. That's in my opinion what he's trying to do with, especially with like all the tariffs and like not exempting Canada in any way. Like that's what I think is at least maybe his plan if he has one. I don't know. He hasn't really given much clarity on that. Anyways, man, I gotta let you go. But thank you for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure talking.
Reese, everybody. That was Reese. All right, let's go to Drew. We got Iron Man says, get a German Shepherd. What's happening?
What's up, dog?
Yo, what's up, Drew? How you doing, buddy?
Yo, man, I got some Connor cast going on.
Yeah, dog.
Dude. Can we get Connor back on?
Yeah.
I got questions for Connor, dog.
Let me grab him.
Hey, Connor, come here.
But you can answer some of these too with him.
He was just napping, so he doesn't like that I'm using him as a prop like this. He's actually very, very upset about it. But go ahead.
He's not a prop. He is the show.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You got to get used to his schedule.
Connor, you're a big celebrity.
Earlier we were talking about you said something about gambling. Does he think the Puppy Bowl is rigged?
Connor, do you think the Puppy Bowl is rigged? No comment. I think his silence says everything.
Says everything. Okay. So puppy market, much like a black market. Where did Fauci get those dogs?
The Beagles? Oh, the Beagles?
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah,
Connor
where do you
hates
get those dogs.
Connor hates beagles. Actually, Connor barks at every dog. So, Connor, silence. Nothing.
Wait.
He's
Is Connor pro Fauci?
I don't know. He has no. Oh, well, he has a lot of vaccines, but mostly for like Bordetella and all the gross dog things that you get, rabies and whatnot.
All right, next question. I have questions too.
Okay, one more.
By the way, wag of the tail, left or right? What way does Connor go? Left
he
or
goes.
right tail wag?
He goes both ways, man. He just goes fucking ham on the tail. I don't know if
Pause.
Yeah, he goes both ways.
Both ways.
All right, Connor. Everybody.
This relates to that question. Does Connor view Danny as a roommate or something more? Pause. Dog pause.
Dog pause. No, I'm just. I would say he would say I'm just his father. So neither. That's what I think he would.
All right.
classify me as.
Is Polyev a breed of dog?
No, I don't think so.
That's actually a question more for you because I don't think Connor would know that.
No, I don't know. Connor doesn't know anything. He just yawned.
Yeah, he's a fucking dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. He doesn't know much. No, I've never heard that.
What do you guys elect up? What do you guys elect up there? You said you're electing something. You can't.
Prime
what do you
Minister,
mean election?
governor.
What the fuck does that even mean?
The Prime Minister. Yeah. Yeah, that's what.
Can
that's
you
what
define that?
That's what they do.
It's like the president, but gayer.
He's electing a gay guy?
Kind of.
Isn't that the Oscars?
I mean, there's a lot of performances going on. I'll tell you how much. Very performative. Yeah.
All right, I just want to talk to Connor.
All right. Well, Connor says, "What's up?" He appreciates you, Drew.
Love you, Danny. Love you, Connor.
Later, buddy. Drew, everybody. Connor says he doesn't like being used as a prop. All right, let's go to a couple super chats here. Iron Man says, "Get a German Shepherd. That dog's a puss. Hockey is for the weak. Watching millionaires acting like paid seals." I mean, hockey is literally the least weak sport out of any major sport. These guys absolutely fucking destroy each other. Like, you watch these shit and they'll like get their teeth knocked out and then just be back in the game 3 minutes later. Like Joel Embiid fucking, just like runs down the court and he's like, "I'm out for 3 months." I mean, they're like, Americans might disagree with me, but hockey players are tougher than football players for sure. Like the hits that they take on a regular basis, just like watch some of the hits Tom Wilson was doling out. And if you watch that shit and you tell me that they're pussies, disagree. Logan Sorter says, "I've got 5 on it. Enjoy the show, Scroats. Join the Patreon if you have not already. Patreon.com/low-value-mail. Day Tripper. Zaniel dropped a super chat. Didn't say anything. Anton says, "The only thing that I see as a problem is those savages that Canada has not civilized." Aggressive Yeti says, "Low-value mail. Better than the bathhouse." Danny, this is from Eddie Grimm. "Danny, why do they test on beagles and not pit bulls?" Good question. Good question. All right, let's go to Jeff. And we're going to be back after the break with Dan from DeDunking. Hello.
Hey,
Jeff,
hey, Danny. How's it going?
Good. How's it going, buddy?
Good, dude. Been a long time.
Yeah. How are things going up in Canada?
Oh, man, it sucks. I am with the country.
Yeah.
It's shitty. I was writing years ago in college. I was studying political science, writing about how we need to build pipelines for our own country's sake, and Quebec and BC just aren't allowing it. And here we are getting absolutely fucked by the U.S. because we didn't build those pipelines.
Sure, because they just assumed it would just be good forever. They just go, yeah, they'll just be friendly forever.
We'll just only ever sell our number one export and our number one contributor to GDP to one customer, and there's no way they could ever use that to screw us.
Connor's going crazy. Connor just heard someone. He's barking like nuts. Yeah. I mean, obviously that goes against the number one most basic rule of any kind of investing. Connor! Fucking bastard.
Yeah.
Number one rule. Literally, you do not put all your eggs in one basket.
Diversify.
Everybody knows that.
Your portfolio.
That is the most basic thing of all time.
Yeah.
And they did that as a country.
Also, we could be supplying our allies like Germany and France and Japan and Korea with our oil and gas rather than them having to buy it from Russia and China. So not only have we fucked ourselves, we fucked our allies. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I'm so sick of this country. I
Yeah.
never thought I would be considering separation, or like I don't even know if we.
Okay,
can
so
vote
you
for
live
that,
in
but
you live in Alberta, right?
I'm a Alberta boy, yes sir.
You're a Alberta boy. So what is like the word on the street with this whole secession movement? Is it kind of like picking up steam?
So I don't even know if Alberta can, because we signed the Articles of Confederacy, or Federation, or whatever. But
There is a mechanism for it,
I don't
because
know.
obviously Quebec did it. Now there's a whole issue with CPP, I know, because obviously Alberta has paid in like billions and billions of dollars into the Canada pension plan. So there'd be an issue of like,
Yeah.
how do you get that back? There's, but
So
there
apparently
is
Quebec never.
Yeah, go ahead.
Apparently Quebec never signed like the Articles of Confederation. So
Oh.
it's easier for them as a province.
Oh, okay. Because I know, like I know there's like that group of lawyers from Alberta who are like trying to start the secession movement, and I did some cursory research on this, and it seems like it is possible. Like there is some mechanism, but it would be something similar to like a Brexit thing, where essentially if there was a referendum and it passed, like with I believe requires a super majority, so like over 2/3. Then it would start becoming like they would have to have some sort of like start negotiating with the government of how that would work, and it would take years. Like it would not just be some overnight thing. Like it would take several years for it to occur.
The problem is, like, most Albertans don't want to join the States, and there's no way, unless we left with Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Northwest Territories, Yukon, and BC, so that we had a coast
Yeah,
area where Alberta can just be like a standalone state.
right. It just wouldn't really work that way.
No. And like, I don't know. I personally have never felt a strong desire to join the States, but if the alternatives are keep getting fucked by the rest of Canada and having to pay Quebec transfer payments in the tune of tens of billions of dollars,
$14 billion
every
a year is what they get.
year. Yeah, and like people in Quebec are getting free childcare and free dental, and we're paying for it over here in Alberta, and we don't have any of that shit.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like I mean, I understand the Albertans, like they're literally like, we have super high taxation and minimal representation.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
exactly.
I can see how that'd be pretty frustrating. So,
I
but
have
you're
no
saying that
connection
kind
to-
of there isn't like, this is probably confined to a corner of Twitter, and like this isn't actually like the talk on Main Street of really.
I'm
like,
sure there are a lot of Albertans that, have feelings, or, in certain scenarios they'll talk about it, but like most of my coworkers are from other provinces that have moved here in the last 5 years, and, they certainly don't want to leave Canada.
Sure.
Even though they're annoyed by the current state of Canadian politics, and they're starting to see things the way of Albertans.
Yeah.
It's like if you're from Ontario and you have family in Ontario, you don't want Alberta to not be in the same country as Ontario anymore.
I mean, you'd still be able to go back. I'm sure wouldn't be a problem.
Of course, but I don't know. Like I was born and raised in Alberta. I have very strong Alberta pride. Like, at
Yeah,
this
I mean,
point, maybe
all
when
my
I was
Alberta
younger, I didn't
friends,
feel
they
this way.
all, like all my Alberta friends who live here in New York, they all they have Alberta flags in their homes. They don't have Canadian flags.
Yeah, so I used to have a pretty sizable amount of Canadian pride. I don't really feel connected to the country at all anymore. Like Saskatchewan and the interior of BC are who I feel are my countrymen, and Ontario, Quebec, the Maritimes, I have no fucking relationship to whatsoever. And
Sure.
for some reason, people in the Maritimes voting heavily liberal because they are too poor and not industrial enough to fucking pay for their own social programs, so we have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty fair. I mean, I guess we'll see how this goes. I guess if Carney wins, especially if he wins a majority, you guys might be changing your tunes. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
I never thought I would vote. In college, I rolled my eyes when people asked me if I was an Alberta separatist, and because I went to school at East.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always the big bad Albertan, and I used to roll my eyes and say, no, I'm a Canadian. And honestly, if Carney wins, I have lost faith in this country and its politics, and I'd be ready to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I
what
never
is,
thought I would
where would that be? I mean, it seems
go
like
to the state.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but it's hard to move to the States. Whereas if you became part of the States, you can go wherever the fuck you want
No,
of
that's what I
mobility.
mean. I mean, I would look elsewhere as in like I would consider voting for Alberta separation and to incorporate into the United States.
Crazy
Which
times.
I never thought I would say. I never thought
I never
but
thought
here we
I
are.
would hear that from a Canadian. I mean, even 1 year ago. One year
I have
ago.
a Maple Leaf tattooed on my chest, like so many other, tacky Canadians. It's so quick, like so many people have it. I got it when I was 19.
Yep.
I kind of wish it was the Alberta crest now.
Sure. Well, that's what cover-ups are for. That's why
Yeah,
they
I
exist.
guess.
Yeah. All right, man. I gotta let you go, but it's good catching up.
Yeah. Good shot, Daddy. Talk to you later.
All right, that was Jeff, everybody. All right, we got to go to the break. I'm sorry if we did not get to you, but I'm looking likely we'll have half an hour of open lines at the end of the show. So if you did not get through, please call back then. Oh, there's a lot of you. Sorry I didn't get to you. I probably should have closed the phone lines a little earlier than that. All right, we're going to go to the break, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes with Dan. Watch. Here's a clip. I think there's a clip of the bathhouse. I didn't set this up, but I think this is the same clip from last time. But anyways, I didn't have a chance to. There was no new episode, so I didn't have a chance to make a new clip. But watch another clip that you might have already seen from the bathhouse. And if you haven't seen it, new episode tomorrow night. And the show is not canceled for now. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Be right back.
The thing is, I used to live in New York City a long time ago, and I did stand up. But then my house blew up.
That happens. Where did you live in New York City?
Meth heads.
Meth heads.
Meth heads blew up your... Where in New York City?
The Bronx? I mean...
I was living in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. So you're living in Brooklyn, you were sharing a house and then with some meth heads and they blew it up?
No, so the building next to mine was condemned, and meth heads were cooking drugs in it.
And that wasn't your rock
And
bottom?
they blew up that house, and it burned down my house.
And now you've fallen on hard times?
Yeah.
That's
shocking.
So yeah,
I mean, yeah.
on top of the
Where do you live
job
now?
loss,
Where do you live
what was
now?
worse?
Do you live with your parents?
I live in Scranton, Pennsylvania now.
Yeah, that's hard.
With the folks?
Yeah.
Dude,
just get a new sales job.
I think the bingo thing is your angle, bro. I think
Well, the problem is
we don't know what else is going on.
People.
We need
led
to
to him wanting to do stand-up.
But here's the thing. We need to get this guy some money. There's not going to be money in the bingo thing. That's
And if you go to nursing homes, it's like, hey, why don't you give me like, I'll run it for $150. You do like 4 nursing homes a week.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, you could build a
I
little
mean,
business.
maybe I could set up something like, what's that channel that they sell fake jewelry to old people?
QVC?
QVC.
You want to? You're
But I could set
dreaming
it
a
up
little
like
big
this
here.
show and just have old people call in.
No, because they don't know how to do anything. They're kind of useless.
You could do fake GoFundMe scams.
No, we want to keep it legal.
I've always thought about doing those.
There you go.
Are you also a meth head? Because nobody who lives with meth heads is not a
No,
meth head.
his neighbors were.
Oh,
meth
neighbors.
heads.
Sorry,
The building was
I missed
condemned.
that. Okay.
No,
Okay, I
yeah,
missed
they
that.
were neighbors of mine in a condemned building.
It's you're 33.
My bad.
You're living at home. It's in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and you just lost your job selling flowers. Is there any other parts of this
Yeah.
tragedy that we should be aware of?
Yeah, what else?
Did
What
a
else we got?
girlfriend dump you? Did somebody die?
You had to supply the flowers?
I mean, when the house exploded, I was living with my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
And
Is she okay?
She became ugly in the fire, so you left her?
I wish that were the case.
So basically,
I did the exact opposite of that.
the house.
You married her.
No, what happened?
No, I got her out of the burning building like a stupid idiot.
You saved her life, and then she repaid you by leaving you.
Bingo.
Damn.
See? This has nursing home bingo written all over it, dude.
Who'd she leave you for? Tell me not someone in the flower business.
No, a hot Russian redhead chick.
Oh, she's a lesbian now.
Oh, Brooklyn.
Oh,
Yeah.
you are at
Yeah,
rock
they all
bottom,
go
bro.
gay. They all go gay in
Yeah.
Brooklyn,
Yeah.
man. You're only a moment away from your girlfriend
I don't
going
know.
gay.
Can you fault this lady for liking pussy? You know?
I mean, hot Russian redheads.
No, she was hot. I don't blame her.
Hot Russian redheads.
Did you try to get in on that though? When she fucking,
I did.
Yeah,
You did, yeah.
Yeah, that's some
And
champ.
it didn't work out
Didn't
well.
work out.
Yeah, I
No,
didn't think it would.
we knew the answer to that though.
If they wanted it, they would have
You always
invited
got to
you.
weasel. You got to try and weasel in if you
Yeah,
can.
but if you're not invited to the party, dude, you're not. You're not. You know.
So,
I know.
when did you
I know
live
you
in?
fell out of
Martin
love with
Luther
me, and
King,
you're
man.
leaving me for something way different. But can I just like tag along?
when did?
Well, you know, when I
was
didn't
this
have a house,
explosion?
it was either move back here or try and tag along. You know.
When was this explosion? What year was this?
Do you know that it wasn't your lesbian trying to get out of the relationship?
And she set the house on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so that she could have an excuse to be like, you know what? I actually have a girlfriend. I'm just going to go live with her.
So hold on. So when was this explosion?
It was right before COVID.
Right before. So 2019.
It's like
House
5 years.
explodes. 5-6 years now. And then basically she was like, I'm staying in Brooklyn. We're broken up. Immediately after this explosion, and you saved her life. Like this was right afterwards?
It was. I mean, not while the house was still burning down.
not, but like
a
a week later.
Crazy, dude.
But like a week later, because you obviously have to find some new living arrangement. New living arrangements. Like,
So-
were you like, let's find a new place? And she's like, about that.
What? The Red Cross put us up for like 2 weeks, and then we're like,
All right, everybody, we are back with none other than Dan Richards, aka DeDunker. How you doing, man?
Hey, not bad. Yourself?
Pretty good. Thank you for joining me on the show. Sorry, I'm just
Thanks for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
figuring out this whole Streamlabs thing. So, just quickly, if you could just tell people who you are, just for those who may not know you.
I'm Dan. I was an electrician, a nerd, and I'm a big Graham Hancock fan. A lot of his stuff I disagree with, but I started, my first videos were basically debunking debunkers. That's the DeDunking thing. If you dunk on Graham or somebody like him, then if you've done it wrong, I'll undo that. That was the idea behind it. And I started off responding to like Milo Rossi and Stefan Milo, and then David Miano, but I got the attention of Graham and Joe Rogan when I pulled apart the lies that Flint Dibble had told during the debate between Flint Dibble and Graham Hancock on the Joe Rogan Experience, and that's what I guess I'm best known for.
So
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, not to bring up too much talk about Flint Dibble, but why does he have so much staying power? Why, like, I don't know where the hell this guy came from. He did one episode of Joe Rogan where he came off as like pretty ridiculous. And he's just like an academic. Like, is it because his dad?
No, he's, how do you put it? It surprised me when I dipped my toes in the arena, but it's very much like so many other things in the modern day, it's polarized, and you've got your champions versus each other, and they're going to fight it out. And Flint Dibble, according to a bunch of people, well, he whooped Graham Hancock on the Joe Rogan Experience, so he's their champion, and doesn't matter. I mean, in all honesty, he does have some staying power with certain people, but if you look at his numbers, I mean, he went on Graham Hancock, or on Joe Rogan, that episode has like a lot of views, like well over 20 million on YouTube right now alone, and he just broke 50,000 subscribers. He's not a well-loved person. He doesn't have a lot of staying power, in my opinion, but he is going to be held up as a champion by certain individuals.
Sure. So yeah, because I was wondering, I'm like, why did people like it seemed like it was one of those things where I don't know if there's just like the anthropology community has just been kind of splintered into kind of like left and like it basically splintered along political lines, which it seems like it should be apolitical, right? Like, I don't know why is there politics in anthropology, really?
There shouldn't be politics in science, period. But, it's one of the things that I talk about semi-frequently is the way that social media has changed the way we perceive people like scientists, people that we put on pedestals. You know, when we were kids, if I turned on a scientist on TV when I was 10 years old, it was going to be Carl Sagan or somebody like him, unless I was up at 2 a.m. watching PBS, right? If I'm watching it normal time, man, it's going to be somebody who's good at talking to people. He's not weird, and he's certainly not going to run off with some goofy ass agenda, which is exactly what we see them all doing on social media, which is why the faith in science is so low right now.
Yeah. How much do you think of that is COVID and post-COVID?
I think a lot of it is. I think COVID exposed a lot of people to it because of how, like the example I always give, because it was what I just made me shake my head, was you would go on TikTok and you would see a nurse, and the nurse would come out and say, and I didn't care, I could just pause it and then I could click on her bio, and if I saw an elephant next to her name, these hospital beds are empty, there's nobody here, COVID's a bunch of bullshit. If there's a donkey next to her name, oh my God, there's a fucking Soylent Green machine out back grinding up corpses, and where it's a horrible, and it was just like, okay, man. And the whole world kind of did that for a hot minute, at least the Western world. And myself, I just quit trusting a lot of the media and whatnot, but a lot of people, that extended all the way into science. And even now, medical science, I mean, that they do have some entrenched wars going on. It's the most cited papers that have been retracted. All the top 10 of those papers are medical. And that is to say, a paper that has been retracted, the scientific community said, yeah, this isn't right. And the top 10 of those that are still cited right now are all medical. So that should tell you something.
Any specific examples of like what are those papers?
I don't know. That's not really. I don't really dabble in the medical stuff.
But
so
you're
much.
just
I just
as
saw
an
that
example.
when I looked up. It was. I want to say it was like it was either 800 or 1,000 papers that were retracted in 2023, and that's when I was looking that stat up was when I saw the top 10 thing. I was just like, shit, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of shit that's going on. So your channel mostly is dedicated to debunking alternative historians, I guess. Do you have any specifics that you have or ones that you have specific issues with the most?
Well, I wouldn't say I really go out about debunking alternative historians, but I will. Generally speaking, I try to, how do you put it? The alternative historian has to prove themselves to be like a grifter. There's a lot of people that believe some goofy stuff that I disagree with, and I'll make videos about that from time to time. But I'm pretty good natured about it. I mean, I made one long video and a couple of short videos about Jimmy Corsetti and Joe Rogan, and I get along well with both of those guys. I made when I was just in Sedona last week, the very first thing that Graham said basically after he sat me down was, "So you do debunkings? You've even debunked me." It's like, oh, in front of all your fans. Yes, I have. But as I've done this more, even though I started out debunking like Milo Rossi, again, the guys that were coming after the alternate historians, as I've done this more, I'm come to the conclusion that, even if I disagree with you on everything about alternate history, we're all like just 2 days away from being called racist by Flint Dibbles. So I think we've got like more important fish to fry in the meantime, and then get to where we can actually have a conversation without having mud thrown. Can we talk about the fucking rocks, please, instead of whatever else, right?
And I mean, I guess so what exactly was your disagreement with Graham Hancock?
Oh, well, there's not exactly a big disagreement, but like things like Bimini Road, for example. If you know what Bimini Road is, it's off of Bimini, and it's a bunch of flat rock that looks like it might be a road or something.
It's underwater.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the geologists are pretty clear that it's beach rock, and if you look around the world, you don't see anything quite like it, but you see it forming in areas looking like small patches like that, where this is considering that they found nothing else to go with it. I tend to lean towards where the geologists are on that. It just to quote AJ from the Y-Files, I'm not out to debunk your favorite mystery, but if we do sift through those 95%, then we've got 5% left that hold up. Doesn't that make it that much more fun? And that's
sure.
I mean, we were actually trying to find the truth, right?
Yeah, and I guess like at the end of the day, even if you quote unquote find the truth, you're like, it's still a best approximation. I feel like a lot of times, right? Like, I imagine in your line of work, there's rarely like a smoking gun.
Oh yeah, that's really where there's the whole debate, right? Is it's if there was a smoking gun, usually the debate gets closed. But quite often, it's one of the arguments I use when the people that like to accuse them of racism, uh, the one of the things they always say is that it's always the sites that are by non-European people that you guys are claiming were built by aliens or whatever, and Baalbek is high on the list of places that we talk about, but it was supposedly built by the Romans, according to mainstream historians. The point is that when you have a gap in knowledge and then something that's interesting and otherworldly potentially, something that's just a little bit crazy, you can end up with these kinds of debates. Which is why a lot of the people will call it a God of the Gap style of debate. And in some ways, you could label it that. But the reality of it is archaeology is a field of gaps. When they start positing, there's certain things they can claim as a hard science, and there's certain things that they can't. And when they start saying the things that they just believe and they assert and they think might be true are factual, at that point, we're not doing science anymore, man. You're arguing Harry Potter versus Star Wars. I don't care.
Sure. Which is that's fair enough. What about Atlantis? Do you have any?
Yeah, I think
is it off
there was.
Is it in? I think I had someone on the show who said it was. Can't remember if they said it was like in St. Augustine, Florida. I don't know if you ever heard that.
I've heard people that believe that. Sorry, I got to blow my nose real quick here.
Yeah, go ahead.
That stupid allergies.
Yeah, I feel you, dog.
No, my opinion is that there was a civilization that was seafaring. They were astronomers because of this. They were really good at ropes and teamwork because of this. And they were, these skills translated well into raising megaliths and aligning them with stars and whatnot once they were land bound. I think that they were like in the area around Polynesia. I think that Easter Island's actually a really good really good candidate for kind of the seat of power for that place. I don't think it was one to all the details that Plato uses. In my opinion, he took a story that everybody already knew and believed, this lost civilization, and he fleshed it out and made it Greek. And so they used the same metal on the walls, that orichalcum that the Greeks liked to value. And then they were democratic because, the Greeks were democratic. And so the things that the Greeks valued were translated over to the Atlanteans. So I don't think that all the details in any of the stories of this lost civilization, I don't think the details are always right. I just think that there's a kernel of truth there that got utilized along the way.
Sure. And so how long have you been doing this for?
On YouTube, a little over 2 years now.
And like, how long have you been, I guess, interested in?
I bought Fingerprints of the Gods. I had it pre-ordered in '95. I got a couple of Egyptology magazines from the earlier '90s when I was like 16 years old that I bought.
Okay, so for a while, I guess my question is like, how recent is this whole trying to insert like racism into these debates? Like, is that a recent thing? Has that been going on for a long time?
To preface this, I have to point out that I started doing the videos just a couple of years ago because I got custody of my son, and until he became a teenager, I just kind of stepped away from anything that was too involved.
Sure.
Racism was not a discussed thing back in those days. Back in the early 2010s, I don't remember anybody saying anything about racism as far as
like when you come to any sort of conclusion, they're like, "That's racist," and you're like, "What?"
No, yeah, that was not a thing. But we've got to this point now where the example I like to use is that we live in a world where Taylor Swift and a chicken sandwich are both too politically extreme for certain people to consume, and I don't even know what to say about it. It's like when that's the way it is, certain people are going to see racism anywhere.
Sure,
and that's especially if you just look at it from a psychological perspective. If you're an archaeologist and one day you get this hard on to killing racism, boy, wouldn't it be convenient if you found out that archaeology was uniquely situated to combat racism? Right. Well, magically it is. Oh my God, look at that. Ta-da, Graham Hancock, racist, let's kill him.
Right. And then also if you have some sort of new, theory or whatever, you can just be like, you can just essentially discount someone else just by saying they're racist. And
yeah, that part of it is kind of, as somebody who's not an academic, I can't say that I see that side of it personally, but I could absolutely imagine that it happens because I do see how it happens in the alternate history community. So if you're behind closed doors of academia, I imagine they have similar things going on.
Sure.
I do know that I can't think of her name, but there is one archaeologist that's very much against the Native American Graves and Repatriation Act that we have here in the States. And it is a little bit overbearing at this point. The Native American tribes can pretty much stop any dig almost anywhere.
Yeah, we had. I have a caller, the Goob, who calls in regularly. I'm sure he'll call in tonight. But he was the first one to tell me about that law, where essentially, like, they can remove anything from any like museum or anything. I can't remember. I guess it was the Native Repatriation Act.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm laughing because the Goob hates me.
Oh, okay.
You're all right. He used to follow me, and then he got mad when I made a video about Ben Van Kerkwick's and the bases. And
Okay.
He's been
the
mad at me
The
ever
Goob's
since.
getting around.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's that's why I was laughing. I wasn't laughing at what you were saying.
That's funny. Well, we still might hear from him, so maybe you guys can make amends.
We'll see. Yeah, but the NAGPRA thing. I forget the woman's name, but she's an archaeologist. It's pretty staunchly against it. And to be fair, I haven't read a lot of her stuff, but she's basically just blackballed as a racist by a bunch of her colleagues. And I mean, I look at what the people that taught these same people, the Flint Dibble's dad's generation. Those guys were almost all opposed to NAGPRA. The archaeological community was drug into that shit kicking and screaming. So for them to all of a sudden turn around and like pick one, it's they can say, a lot of ways they like, oh, we cleaned house and whatnot, but in reality, what it is it's become very, very politicized, and I hate that because science, I mean, the whole fucking point of the scientific method, the whole reason you have replicability and multiple eyes on the thing and all these different people, because humans are fallible and we have predetermined biases. And so what I see and what you see, if all of us see the same damn thing, that's good. But if the Christian sees one thing and the Muslim sees another, maybe there's something wrong here. That's what the whole fucking method's about. So when you inject nothing but ideologues one direction into there, you're guaranteed to get non-science.
Sure, and eventually kind of contaminates it a bit because they're really like that was actually one of my questions is like, why is there bias, such a problem with bias in like things like archaeology and anthropology? I guess you kind of answered it, but what's the way out of it?
Well, I think a lot of it too, really quickly to address your question there's specifically with it is like I mentioned earlier about the stories. These guys are authoring these stories. They write them, and they write. These aren't stories. This is science, and it's an idea that they came up with. The Clovis first hypothesis. When these glaciers separated, people came through there, and that's how all this happened. And that's a story that someone wrote. So when somebody else came along and said, "I don't think that story's right," you're telling me my story, but it's not a story. But I have the same emotional attachment. So I think that's a big reason why they fight. And honestly, I think the best way forward, and I said this in Sedona, the best way forward is for them to quit circling the wagons when one of their own paints outside the lines egregiously. Some guy goes on Joe Rogan and lies like mad. Don't rely on the dumbass electrician to come and hang him out to dry. Practice science. You can do it yourselves.
Sure. Which that seems reasonable. So in terms of the alternate history stuff, do you have a ranking of the ones that are just the absolute most bullshit in your opinion? That you just absolutely
there's certain people that are really over the top when it comes to the geopolymer thing. I don't have a problem with the idea of the ancients using concrete. The fucking Romans had concrete. We know that. Any academic will accept that. But there's some people that'll say like the Barbar caves in India, which are these big intricate caves, and they'll say that those were made through geopolymer, or that the pyramid blocks were cast through geopolymer, and you're just like, oh my God. Yeah, I have a problem with that kind of stuff.
Isn't polymer more like a kind of plasticky?
Well, yeah, geopolymer is basically a concrete, some sort of raw. Yeah, so they were able to pour their rocks instead of
like transporting them, and
yeah.
So that's a theory for the pyramids, is that they just poured them.
Not by very many people for the pyramids, but if you go to Puma Punku, there's those H blocks there. Those are big candidates frequently for geopolymers for being cast because they look very close to each other, and they do. It looks like it'd be pretty hard to carve, as accurately as they are. And there's a few things like that, but by and large, things like the pyramids, most people don't think that they're geopolymers. The vases, some people think those are geopolymers, but not very many. There's only a handful. Those are one of the examples. Some of the other examples, I think, are when they get. I don't think the sonic stuff is, while hypothetically feasible, it would be it insanely difficult. Like the biggest speakers humans have ever used, we could like break windows and shit, but like it would be the combined voices of like 10 million people. It's like I don't. I mean, I have a
What was
hard
the
time.
Sonic thing?
Some people think that they might have used sound to lift blocks or
Oh.
things like that, right?
Is that even possible?
Well, hypothetically, I mean, you can lift things with sound, right?
Sure.
So some people think that there's a story, I forget the dude, but he's
Wouldn't
like,
everybody around die?
you would assume, yeah.
Like, wouldn't everybody in any sort of radius of that just like explode?
You would think. I mean, there's a lot of problems with it, right?
But this is a theory that people actually.
A lot of people think the sonic thing. There's a guy, I forget his name, but he was, I want to say in the 1930s, and he claimed that he saw some Tibetan Buddhist monks move a big rock that way, and that's kind of where that started from. So there's a few things like that. I mean, I'm not a believer in ancient high technology. Just straight up, I think that if we were to watch the pyramids be built today, if we were to just be magically transported, we were to watch what they were doing, we wouldn't be seeing what they tell us in the history books, but we also wouldn't be going, "Oh my God, what an amazing machines." I think it would be more like, you know much about baseball?
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody doesn't know anything about baseball and you're like, "Hey man, you don't put a left-handed person on third base," they're like, "Why?" And then you explain it to them and you're like, "Oh fuck, duh." I
Right.
think that's the reaction we would have if we were watching the pyramid be built. We'd be like, "Oh fuck." I mean, we had, if you look at like the evolution of hominids and humans, literally a couple million years of stone being the only real building material besides wood. Stone's the premier, stone's top of the heap. So these skills that were passed down generation after generation after generation would have gotten so nuanced and so powerful. And then we start doing metal, and just like our horsemanship skills today are shit compared to our great grandfathers, we forget and we
Yeah.
don't ever get it back.
Right. I mean, yeah, when you go, to the Vatican, you see or Rome, and you see the stonework, you're like, it's hard to believe some of these buildings were built 1,000 years ago.
It's amazing.
It's crazy. Like you're like, this thing looks new. Like some of these things you go, I can't believe. I'm sure they've been, renovated to some degree, but even still, you're like, it is incredible. What about have you ever heard the terracotta warriors? In China.
Yeah, in China.
Have you ever heard the theory that they're fake?
No.
No, you've never heard that? There's like,
no.
I think it's like a recent. I don't know if this is classified as like a conspiracy theory or what, but there's a recent theory. I've actually been there, and they are pretty impressive. If you believe that the story that they were like made, however many hundreds or thousands of years ago, but there's a theory that the Chinese government essentially just cast them all in like the 70s or 80s. And then they just said they were like, because they don't allow anybody to really access them, right?
Wow.
Like they don't allow any sort of outside, like archaeologists or whatever to really inspect them. So you kind of have to like take them for their word, and they've become this big tourist attraction and all this stuff. But there's this theory that they're completely fake and were just made in the 70s.
Well, no, I hadn't heard that, but that does tie in well to what we were talking about like what I was saying a minute ago about how the sites that we look at are always the ones that have a big question mark. Those are the ones that always get attributed to aliens or Atlantis or whatever. It's the exact same thing here. When you have a question mark, the conspiracies just pop up. It's a natural thing to do, because if you won't let somebody look behind your back, the assumption is you're holding something there, right? That's not really a conspiracy theory. That's just kind of the way human brains work.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of the argument there, is that the acceptance of the mainstream narrative and the non-acceptance of the mainstream narrative when it comes to like how they built the pyramids. Like I've often referred to, they say that the Great Pyramid was built in like 20 to 30 years. And I've often referred to that as like the gateway drug to becoming a pyramidian, because that's just stupid. Anybody who looks at that thing, looks at how big it is, and who's done any construction work in their life, just looks like 20, no, more like 100 years. I go with 100, okay, but 20 to 30, come on, man.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
yeah, like there's, even if they had like an unlimited supply of slave labor, like it just can't be done.
Well, in my opinion, like as at the size of what it is, and first of all, the size and the precision that they have with it. I mean, as people are going, "Whoa, it's not precise." The pyramid itself isn't super precise, every single stone, but it's 756 feet long, and there's like a variation of around 2 inches per side, which is like less than a thousandth of a percent. And it's almost perfectly oriented to itself, like perfectly square. It's better aligned to the cardinal points than the Greenwich Observatory is, which was built like 3,000 years later. It is just there's a lot of enigmatic things about it, and then couple that with the size and the weirdness of it. I mean, you look at some of the chambers and stuff. It's not like you just stack the blocks on top of each other. There's a whole lot
Right.
going on in there.
Inside.
Yeah, 20 to 30 years, I just don't buy it.
Sure. What about
again? I apologize.
Tartaria?
Sorry.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Tartaria.
Do your thing. Do your thing, and then we're gonna open the phone. The phone lines are open. 1-888-949-2969. Everybody.
Tartaria is one that I personally am not a big believer in. I think that's probably pretty high on the list of BS ones. As a matter of fact, that's so high on the list I didn't even think of it earlier. I personally think that was just kind of a way for. It seems to me very much like a kind of a Eastern European we was kings kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. All right. Our producer, Mark, he'd like to ask you a question. He's
absolutely
really into this stuff. Let me. How do I bring him on here? Oh. Okay. 1 second, please. Let's see if we got him.
I apologize for my allergies.
Oh, it's okay, man. I get ravaged by allergies. I can definitely understand.
Arizona was hard on me compared to Spokane.
Well, yeah, Arizona's nice. Mark, are you there?
Yeah.
Producer Mark, everybody, go ahead.
The lines are firing. So, Dan, I'm curious. I feel like I kind of anticipate your answer, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on giants, the notion of giant skeletons, and the notion that giants were maybe responsible for the megaliths, certain megaliths around the world.
Well, I'm not personally. I don't believe in giants more than maybe like 8 feet tall, and even that would be pushing it. I mean, we had Robert Wadlow dude who was getting close to 9 feet tall, but he was sickly. Now there are reports, only a handful, but there are a couple of reports in newspapers on the West Coast from. Not necessarily the West Coast, but the Southwest area, reporting that they had giant skeletons that they were bringing back to the Smithsonian. I'm skeptical of those, to be honest with you, but if those were, if they did have giant skeletons, I'm pretty certain that they were either sold or stole along the way. It's the kind of thing that a collector would go crazy for. I've talked about this a little bit on my channel before, that I don't think like things like the Antikythera mechanism, I don't think that it would have ended up in a museum if they would have known what it was when they first pulled it out of the water, and if it hadn't been next to
That's
a bunch
what
of
that
expensive
clock
statues.
the
clock looking thing. I think those gears would have been on a rich dude's shelf, just tucked away somewhere.
Sure.
Now,
go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe you're aware, maybe you're unaware, but there's an author, Susan B. Martinez, PhD from Columbia University in anthropology, and she has a book titled "The Mysterious Origins of Hybrid Man." And it might be a good jumping off point for you in a video, if you're willing to go down that rabbit hole. But I should go because I got callers on the line. But yeah, I'm just curious because
send me a link to it.
The giants and there's even evidence that in the past the entire biome was filled with larger species because the atmosphere had different qualities. But I'm gonna go now.
All right.
Mark,
Thanks, everybody. Mark. Yeah, I was actually, when you say that about the private collections thing, and I've always wondered, like, the extent to which there's tons of shit that we don't know about that are just in these crazy private collections they don't go up for sale because, I mean, I think a lot of them you can't legally actually sell them. Like, I went to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and there's so much stuff that used to be here that was just ransacked. And it just all exists. It's illegal to buy and sell them. Like, the government has basically said, like, you're not allowed to buy and sell these things. So, I mean, I'm sure there's like a black market for this stuff, or people just like hoard this shit. But there's so much stuff.
Well, yeah, when Sir Flinders Petrie, the first dude to really go crazy in Egypt, he had a bunch of financiers, and they got like 80-90% of his stuff. Like
Yeah.
the stuff, and the stuff that's in his museum is extensive and massive, and it's the pittance of what he found. And there was one time, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but it was like in the 1950s, there was a guy that passed away that was a collector of South American pottery, and every single instance of a certain type of vase he had. The scientists now had a new kind of vase because this dude had croaked and his shelves became emptied. Had his
Right.
wife not donated that shit, we still wouldn't know. And that's just a vase. I mean, imagine if something you would get outlandish like the Dendera light or something crazy like that. Well, I
Yeah.
highly doubt Zahi Hawass would be putting that in the freaking Cairo Museum instead of freaking, some Koch brothers' hands.
Right. So that's kind of like you guys are waiting for these people to die to hope that
Yeah.
you just get this treasure trove of just all these artifacts just
I don't
showing
even-
up at once.
I think the big stuff won't ever come out. I mean, it's it doesn't take a rocket scientist to if your daddy dies and you haven't seen him in 20 years and you go down into the basement because the will says you get to, and you're looking around and you see all this goofy Egyptian shit, and one of it's a freaking Egyptian record player. I think you're going to figure out pretty quick that's the one piece I probably shouldn't sell.
Sure.
Right?
And I mean, even, like, again, it's like you might not legally even be allowed to sell these things because you can't explain how you got them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of laws about that, like and that will come into play heavily on things that were never documented to begin with, because there's a lot of laws about when they had to have been like this
Acquired.
found and purchased and acquired. Yeah, before I think it's like 1974 and 1979. I think are the two like watershed years, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, but something like that. Yeah, because I know in Angkor Wat there used to be like a giant statue here, like, and they'll have like a photo where they go, this is what it would have looked like, and they're like, it didn't get destroyed. Someone just took it, and we have no clue where it is. Could be in some Chinese collector's collection or something, and it is so weird because I guess you just collect them for the love of the game, because even though they're like priceless, they're also worthless at the same time somehow.
Well, they're priceless to the right people and worthless.
Right. I guess there must be some crazy underground, like these people must all know each other and they probably trade back and forth. And
I have a little experience in. I sold a lot of video game crap back in the day. I had a lot of like this. This is like the kind of thing that would be in a store, right? They'd put that behind the Xbox thing. I had a lot of crap that was really rare, and there's certain pieces that I would just contact people and they would buy them immediately, and one of the things that they would say is just don't tell anybody else where you got it. So they sold it to me, and that was very common.
Right.
And the communities are that way. There's in the video game world, perfect example of this. There's always a big search for like the beta copies of a video game as like the developer copies.
Uh-huh.
And so when these get purchased, like one will pop up on eBay, it'll get purchased, and most of the time, whoever buys it will dump it to the community so they can all share the program. But about 10-20% of the time, the guy that buys it never says another word. Just
right, just has it, and that just goes, and they just kind of every 6 months they go look at it and they go, pretty cool.
Yes, exactly.
That's about it. All right, let's take some calls. We have the Goob on the line, actually. So this should be interesting. Let's hope it's not too many fireworks here.
It's all right.
Goob, are you there?
How's it going, Danny?
All right, let's keep it civil, Goob. I just got to tell you that.
Don't worry, Danny. Don't worry. I'm not here to start any fights.
All right.
So, Dan, I see that the Dibble debate is being rehashed again, over a year later. And you're about
hold
to
on.
release
Dan
a
got
video.
muted. Sorry, Dan got muted. One moment. There you go.
Okay.
Sorry, Dan. You
Sorry.
there, Dan?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Do I need to start over, or could he hear me?
I think he could hear you. Just start over.
Yeah. You talk about the debate.
Yeah, the Flint Dibble debate.
Yeah. So the Dibble debate's being rehashed again, and I see you've got a video coming out on Dave soon. And I think you would agree that, the archaeologists have pretty transparently exposed themselves to be, along with you, of course, but they've done it themselves, exposed themselves to be stupid, angry, dishonest people. And, you really can't win a debate against stupid, angry, dishonest people. They can only drag you down to their level. And so, I feel like everyone who cares about this issue has already chosen their side. The character of the archaeologist, like I said, has been exposed transparently. And I wonder if, this is productive at this point, or if it's just hurting discourse. Like you said earlier in this video, can we stop slinging muds and let's talk about the fucking rocks?
No, I would.
As an observer, that's absolutely what I would like to see.
No, I would like that to happen myself. I'm frustrated, to be honest with you, that I still have to do this. But like a video like that one, for example, going through that video, it's taking longer than I wanted to, because normally when I make a response video, it's easy for me to just I'm not going to respond to that bit. There's nothing to respond to there. But he didn't do any research. I mean, to say he did, he said that that I went after Flint Dibble, and then when that quit getting clicks, I went after Milo Rossi. My first fucking video was on Milo Rossi. I went after Milo for a fucking year before I even did a single. He said that Graham Hancock got popular after Ancient Aliens became a thing, and it's like, yeah, or more the best-selling books that he wrote in the fucking 90s might have had something to do with it. I mean, he did no research. So, and the thing is that he is part of this all pseudoscience is bullshit thing, and he goes after flat earthers and creationists pretty much exclusively, or people that are like way out there with ideas about physics or electric universe or something where the science is so clearly on his side that he doesn't have to do research. And he treated our community like that. And yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like this absolutely needs exposed. Professor Dave has tons of videos of people screaming and yelling at him. This is going to be one where all the links in the thing are going to be peer-reviewed papers that are just proving him wrong. So, yeah, I understand that some people feel like the discourse is stagnating in this regards. I personally feel like this kind of thing needs to keep happening, because there's a lot of people on the fences that don't talk a lot, that don't have a lot to say in the comments even, but that are definitely swayed by it. And I mean, let's be clear. Guys like Professor Dave are the antithesis of science. He's a fucking loudmouth. He would be a preacher if he was a Christian. He's just a loudmouth, fire and brimstone preacher. So he needs exposed, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, he had. He had a great his thing with Flat Earth Dave, who's been on the show before. That was entertaining, at least. But yeah, I didn't know he was. I thought he was very rigid, but I guess he's. I think, is there an issue with in I guess your community where there's people who are like, no, like, well, I'm like have a PhD, I went to school, therefore like kind of what I say is right, and anybody who's like not has like a formal education, you're just dismissed instantly.
Oh, the archaeologists can act that way. Their fans definitely do. I'll get those comments all the time. Flint Dibble's an archaeologist and you're an electrician, blur. And appeal to authority, right?
Right.
But that's that happens frequently.
Go ahead, Goob.
I understand, your arguments, but I do feel like there is a point of diminishing returns. And again, I as an observer, I've watched how the archaeologists have behaved, and it's been unpleasant to see, and it's starting to get a bit unpleasant to watch, the alternate community continue just engaging in this flame war. And I don't want the discourse to continue to devolve. I feel like it already has quite a bit. There seems to be a lot more anger and a lot less actual conversation in general since the Dibble debate. I don't want to, I know they are absolutely ridiculous. It's very easy to call them out. They make it very easy because they, like you said, they say just completely dishonest and ridiculous things. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but I do feel like the people that are actually interested in these things, they've seen that ridiculousness and they aren't listening to them. But
what's your prescription? Just to kind of ignore them, Goob?
Yeah, absolutely. Just talk about the rocks. Like, I think Wandering Wolf is the ideal example, honestly. I love that guy. I think he does great work, both in, his work and also just his approach. He exposes them, so it's not that he entirely ignores it. He does expose the issues, but he's not engaging in these flame wars. He's not going back and forth with them. He focuses on his work and he exposes them when he needs to. And I think that's truly the ideal. And I don't even live up to that ideal, but I think Wandering Wolf is the ideal that the community should be striving for.
I think there's definitely an element too, though, especially on YouTube and stuff, where people just like love drama. You
Well,
know,
and-
it's kind of
Yeah, and I don't
it's
think
kind of
that's
like
a
a little
good thing.
wrestling vibes where you go, yeah, you know, a little conflict.
Well, and another
Yeah.
thing that I think is important about this is that there are people that will look and see both sides of the argument. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. Besides illegitimate scholar and the occasional, well, besides Sam from illegitimate scholar, it doesn't feel like there's really anybody else calling out them on their bullshit. Besides, like what Jimmy and Mike did. Mike from Wandering Wolf and what Jimmy Corsetti with like in Gobekli Tepe, or when Mike's talking about the different sites and stuff, exposing the damage to the sites or whatnot. That's a big deal. Don't get me wrong, but it's a different thing. And like if Graham Hancock makes a video, he can expect 20, 30, 40, 50 responses to it. If somebody else makes a video
And they could just be ignored.
yeah, but they don't.
That is an option.
But they're not. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, the public is never like I honestly, like Professor Dave here is a perfect example. There's going to be a lot of people that have always thought, man, he's always on Team Science, and that they're going to see how far off he is there. And so as far as Mike is great, but he doesn't play the PR game. I do. I guess that's the best way of putting it.
I mean, I did find it kind of odd.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate, because the PR game's an ugly game, man.
No,
like
it takes all of it.
Flame Wars is an ugly thing.
The whole world.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to change your mind, but I spoke my piece. I do see the degradation of discourse, and I don't like to see it. And I
think that's happening literally everywhere, though. Like I do find it.
Course.
I do find it odd that someone like Professor Dave is like in your comments, like leaving comments and stuff. Like I've never left a comment on a YouTube video in my life.
Yeah,
like
Professor Dave.
let alone like the idea that I would go on other people's podcasts and just be like, you suck or something like that. That is, and me and like, I don't know if that's a comedian thing, but everybody I know would be like, that is crazy behavior to go do something like that. To just go like, there's one thing if you want to be like, hey, I want to get in this world. I'm going to make a video about this person. And you're like, now you're in this alternative drama community, but to just be like leaving comments, I find it bizarre behavior.
Well, anyways, like I said, I made my point. Before I go, Dan, you really should check out the video. You should hold yourself to your own standards, but that's all I'll say.
All right, later, Goob.
See ya.
Goob, everybody. All right, let's take another call here. We're going to Niagara Falls. I don't know if it's the shit side or the Canadian side. Also, Mark Carney is the next Prime Minister of Canada, everybody. 99% on Polymarket. Well, he's the current Prime Minister, but he's also the next Prime Minister. All right, Niagara Falls. Who are we speaking with?
Yo, my name is Steven Lorentz.
Steven
Hey,
Lorentz. Like the
Yes.
player on the Maple Leafs?
Yes, that's me.
Okay. What's up?
Not much. What about you?
Just doing this call-in show that you called into.
Oh, I thought you called me.
Oh, okay. No. I mean, somehow Mark actually labeled you as an important question. Do you have a question?
No. Well, no, you called me, Jack.
All right.
God.
That's weird because Mark labels them, and he actually was labeled the highest. He played Mark. Played him like a fiddle. Played him like a fiddle.
I'm getting this vibes, this flashbacks to like 1990s public access.
Yeah,
TV.
that's what I'm going for.
I do this shit all the time, man.
That is what I'm going for. I mean, I prank called enough of those shows where I deserve a few at this point. I definitely deserve a few. I get way less than I deserve. I'll say that because it is actually surprisingly a rare occurrence. All right, we got Travis. Travis, unmute yourself, please. Please, for the love of God, Travis, unmute yourself.
Can he unmute himself?
Yeah. They as long as I ask to unmute them for the callers, but sometimes people just take forever. All right, and this is what happens, and then I go to somebody else, and then as I go to somebody else, they unmute themselves, and then there's two people talking at the same time. Nothing I can do about it. All right, let's go to Peter. Peter, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
How's it going, Peter?
What's up?
What is happening?
What's going on, guys?
Hello.
Oh, I just watching your guys' election from a state south of you guys, so that's fun.
Okay. You want to talk about Canada?
Well, no, I don't. I
okay.
actually had a question for Dan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with this theory, Dan, kind of alternative theory about that. I saw it on Graham Hancock's website quite a long time ago, and I've read about it kind of off and on. But the theory is that there wasn't enough copper in Crete during the Bronze Age to fuel like the whole Bronze Age expansion. That the theory is that the only pure copper that could be found that in the world to fuel it is in the UP. And I was wondering what you thought about the theory that somehow the natives were able to transport copper down like the Mississippi into the Caribbean, and then either like the Phoenician cultures or somehow the Caribbean cultures were able to like transport it across to the Azores or something like that. I don't know if you're familiar with that theory or if you had any comments or thoughts on that.
I've heard of it. I'm a little skeptical of it, mostly because I think, and no, we did tear up a lot of what the Native Americans had done here, but we tore up mounds, but we didn't fill in a bunch of mines. I think it would have at least gotten recorded, and we would know that there was a big chunks of it. We would possibly even find a piece of ore somewhere that lined up. This is the kind of thing that alternate historians and that archaeologists wouldn't necessarily push back against. We do see it with like Easter Island. There's a lot of proof of cross Pacific contact much further back than they expected. They didn't push back against it. It's just that you need that smoking gun for them to get on board with it at all. And so I personally have the opinion that that's a little bit far-fetched. In particular, the Greeks, I mentioned orichalcum earlier. The Greeks had the orichalcum, and that was a bronzish type of alloy. And they think that it may have just been a naturally occurring alloy that they found in the mountains and that they started to figure out a way to emulate. But the point is there was a shitload of copper around. And so I personally don't buy that.
Right on. What do you think about the idea that there was some sort of like transportation of like the Phoenicians across to the Azores? If that was, do you think that's possible from the do?
I think that's possible. I think it's possible even, Antarctica has big chunks of it that are ice-free for long periods of time, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if some of the maps that we have of Antarctica with ice-free coasts from way back in those days come from, supposedly from way back in those days, come from Phoenicians and the like, just doing it piecemeal.
Right on. Well, thank you. That was kind of a quick question. Hey,
Appreciate
that's my Canadian. Good luck.
Yeah, they're in trouble. That country is in some trouble. Okay, let's try Travis here. Come on, people, unmute yourself. There we go. Travis, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're on with Dan. Go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you. I would just like to say this is call me old fashioned, but this is tickling me pink.
Oh, love to hear it. Love to hear it, Travis.
I like both you guys. Danny, been following you since low value females. Still wish you bring it back. I know you won't.
Never happening.
I know. But like classic.
What's up, Travis?
But I've been watching our boy DeDunking. Little did I know it was only for 2 years, so I've been basically watching him since the start.
Cool.
So, besides gushing over you guys being famous celebrities on the YouTubes,
you got a couple pops tonight, there, Travis?
I got only the Bell Blue, the Blue Dry.
Nice, good beer.
Thing you can't get anymore.
Yeah.
But long story short, I got three quick questions.
Go ahead.
One comes up with the whole entire Egyptian pyramids, the scanning underneath it and everything.
Yeah, that was a big thing that was going on in like the last few weeks, right? Where they were like something about some crazy scanning underneath, and it went like way deep into the ground.
I thought Metatron, another YouTuber, I like him. He brought up mines, and that made a lot of sense to me. Where like how old Greek mines and everything were designed were like straight shafts, and like they weren't designed for comfort. They were just designed to dig. So
thoughts on that, Dan?
shit out of it
It's
kind of makes sense to me.
It's an interesting idea. I mean, I don't think that there's quite. I think that the scans are a little bit more reined in than what we're getting. I think that
who did these scans?
I forget the name of the group, the Coffray Project, the Coffray SAR Project.
Yeah.
It's
But
done with
they're
synthetic
reputable?
aperture radar. Potentially, here's the deal. Synthetic aperture radar is it's recently been used, upgraded a lot to where it used to be able to you could map out things to like a meter or so, and now you can get down to they can measure changes down to 2 centimeters, and they're using computers to do that. And now these guys are claiming that they can use computers to the changes in the Earth's crust and the little vibrations and atmospheric changes and whatnot, that they're able to register those with multiple passes with the synthetic aperture radar and AI sift in it, and that's how they built this up. So I'm a little bit skeptical, and nobody else has been able to back it up yet. Now, I'm not skeptical of it all the way. I don't think that it's bullshit. I don't think that we got tunnels 2 miles under the thing or 2 kilometers under the thing like that they claim. I think it's a little bit more reined in, and I think they're probably reading a lot of tunnels going back and forth, in my opinion.
Now, are they known to have tunnels underneath, or is that a new discovery?
Yeah, Giza's the limestone bedrock of Giza is I forget how many millions of years old. It's old as hell, and it's just pockmarked with tunnels, just crisscrossed with tunnels.
But create human-made tunnels, or
not necessarily human-made, but naturally occurring. But many of them have been borne out and used by humans over the years, including probably most likely some of the parts of the Great Pyramid, even like the lower chamber.
Keep in mind, Danny, I don't want to be that guy, but it's very, very old. I forget, maybe 2-3 years ago, not in Egypt or anything, in Africa, they found the first natural nuclear power plant where there was exposed uranium and everything.
A natural nuclear power plant?
Yeah, so natural water fell into it, and there was exposed uranium, which then caused
heated
steam,
it. Yeah,
and then caused it to do what we do to produce energy.
Gotcha.
So it's very old.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. You can be that guy.
And stuff, so caves and stuff. So I don't think it's 100% the whole entire 3D graphics where they do the spirals and everything. I can see a couple of mines. I can see a couple of things that people didn't notice. And let's be serious here. You dug up I don't know, copper or whatever 500 years ago, 700 years ago, covered in sand. How many times did we undig out the pharaoh? Not the pharaoh. The Egyptian cat, the Sphinx. Yeah. Sorry, I have a list.
They had to dig out the Sphinx a number of times over the years.
Yeah.
PH is a great word for me.
Right. Anything else there, Travis? You had some other questions?
Check out the Lore Lodge. I think he's a great guy. I just want to give him a plug. He's a nice guy. He does more of a Bigfoot things.
Okay.
Super detailed. Goes out of the way.
I'm aware of him. I've watched a few of his videos.
Less of folklore. Give him a couple of listens. Well done.
Okay.
I appreciate your guys' time. I hope you guys have a great time and enjoy your time.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Travis.
Have a beer for me, man. That was Travis, everybody. Well, let's go to Carl. One moment, please. There we go. Carl, are you there?
Yo, Danny. How you doing?
What's happening? You were on with Dan. Go ahead.
Hey, Carl.
Nothing much. Hey, how you doing, Dan? I did just look up your channel. I didn't know, but I like what I saw. The few thumbnails that I saw, I was like, wow, that's cool. That I appreciate what you're doing and everything.
Well, thank you.
Sure. I want to touch on you said maybe only there's only evidence of 8-foot giants. I don't really. I mean, I just want to say that someone that Danny had on before did bring up some evidence of not you said accounts from the West Coast, but from the East Coast. There's been multiple accounts from the last 100 years.
Well, wasn't there the one in
Afghanistan?
Wasn't there the military, the Afghan, like the U.S. military? I don't know the veracity of this, but apparently they like encountered some, like the U.S. military encountered some like red-headed giant in Afghanistan.
I haven't heard of that.
I saw that.
No.
Mr. Balin video or something like that.
Yeah, but again, I don't
years ago.
Kandahar giant. Mark says, but again, I don't know because there's probably no real, actual confirmed reports other than
See,
kind of hearsay.
that's where it gets, that's where it gets dicey. Where it's I only tend to account the accounts that we have like in writing from the person that claims to have been holding it. It's like when dude says, my grandpa said that when he dug up that mound out there was a bunch of bones in it of giants that were 10 feet tall. I can't personally, I can't put any more stock in that than I can Joseph Smith and his golden plates. It's just, I'm a skeptical person that way.
Sure.
But
which is probably the way to go about this. To just be generally
that's
skeptical.
fair. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
It is
I wasn't trying to press.
No, you're fine.
You.
No, I'm not trying to
yeah.
and I'm not trying to poo-poo the idea. And I'm not opposed to. We do know that there were like large hominids bigger than us, like Gigantopithecus and stuff, but they tended, from what we can tell, to be not quite as smart or I think if the legends of giants most likely would come from our interactions with big hominids, more than it would come from like found skeletons and stuff. But
and that's the thing is like there's all these stories of found skeletons, but is there any actual skeletons?
Yeah, and that's where they again, to play devil's advocate or to play both sides of the fence. If there is. They're probably in the freaking basement of somebody with the last name of Carnegie or some such shit.
Right, where they have
one of ours.
But it's like you would think at some point, if they were prevalent in any way, someone would come across them who was just like, I don't want to sell them to Andrew Carnegie. I just want to release them just for the world to know that this is a real thing. And I mean, you'd get a lot of heat on that if you were the person who, right? Like if you were the person who were like, I was the first one to actually find these and say, hey, I found these.
Well, I agree. You would get all kinds of skepticism, and also, a lot of people would believe that we've all heard the story of the guy who made the carburetor that would get 200 miles to the gallon, and the government unalived him. Right?
Sure.
I think a lot of people would think that you expose giant bones. Next thing you know, you're in a little freaking cell in Gitmo. So
right, fair enough.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
To you guys.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the movie with the Limitless with Bradley Cooper?
Which one with Bradley Cooper? What movie?
The Limitless.
Limitless.
Like
Yeah.
The drug.
Yeah, I never saw it.
The drug that unlocks his brain and stuff.
Yeah, I do know the movie. Yeah.
I've just been thinking about I had like a couple buddies that are like smarter than me, and they kind of like posed this question like recently when we were like smoking a blunt.
Of course.
That like maybe that like the war on drugs, like the whole thing with like all these new research chemicals, and there's all these different new psychedelics that people are synthesizing, and then over the last 20 years, of course, there's like all these new like there's all these movies about crystal meth, like Breaking Bad, and then like there was also a bunch of other ones too. Like Val Kilmer had a movie about crystal meth.
Did you guys end this conversation by doing some crystal meth?
No.
Okay.
No, Danny. No.
I just want to know where this is going. I just have questions.
No.
Just asking questions.
No. It was just no. Like they one of them posed. They like came up with this, but they like pose a question of like maybe the war on drugs is to stop people from getting to like
the limitless drug.
The certain, pretty much like the certain type. But they said that they think from like other friends of theirs that like were chemists and stuff that it could be the base structure of crystal meth. If it's like synthesized the most, it can like unlock the brain and like parts of
I mean, the
and,
fact
like,
is the
increase
war
the
on
IQ and
drugs
stuff.
has not been successful. And I mean, there's probably no shortage of underground chemists who are constantly working on this stuff. So it's like, just because there's a war on drugs, if someone wants to arrive at this, I'm sure there would be a huge market
No,
for
I'm
it.
just saying, like, no, you're right. I was just saying it was like they said it was like this is like a cool idea. Like, obviously, I mean, maybe there's some truth to it, but like it's just kind of like a cool idea that they said like maybe they're trying to stop people from getting to like the Limitless drug from like the movie Limitless. Like,
sure.
With the,
I mean, I also remember
you know what I'm
smoking
saying?
blunts with my friends.
Have you ever heard anything like that?
I've never heard of that theory where the war
I
on
heard
drugs.
Terrence McKenna talk about like them trying to keep mushrooms from us to keep us from like expanding our consciousness and whatnot. But that's about as close to what I've heard of what you're saying that I've heard.
Yeah, I know Terrence McKenna
okay.
thinks that we're just a bunch of monkeys who ate mushrooms.
Yeah, which is an interesting theory. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
I like his theory that we would have been, if raccoons got to it first, then we would have been some sort of raccoon hybrids instead of came from monkeys because they also have
Holy
opposable
shit.
thumbs.
Who
All right,
who
Carl.
said that?
Carl,
What the hell?
Terrence McKenna. Carl,
man.
just do me a favor.
Thanks, Carl,
Don't
man.
do meth. Just don't do meth.
Have never done meth and never condoned it, and
Yeah, don't do
that's
it though.
the end of that,
Because
Dave.
it seems like
Stop
you're
saying that, Dave.
sounds like you're meth curious right
Danny-
now, where you think it's going to unlock all your
Danny-
potential.
That's curious.
Danny, I'm not meth curious. I'm not
Okay.
meth curious.
Okay, good. Don't.
Have a good
Don't.
night, guys.
All right, take care. Carl, everybody. Man, the things we come up with smoking blunts with our pals, huh? All right, let's go. I think this might be...
I see God, man.
Yeah. Hello? You're on Low Value Mail. Go ahead.
Hey, not so much a meth advocate, but goddamn, bro, you feel like that like 4 times the human being that you are. Just saying that.
If what? If you take meth?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I've been munching speed because some Jew doctor put me on it in 4th grade because.
Oh, you've been taking like are you an Adderall user?
No, Dextro.
Oh, Dextro.
Methamphetamine, the original
Gotcha.
generic. Yeah, dude, that shit rules, bro. It works. But yeah, no, the first time I smoked it was here in Austin, and yeah, that shit rules.
You smoked Dextro methamphetamine?
No, I smoked that. No, ice.
Oh,
clear
you smoked ice. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
That probably explains some things about you, but don't do that. Anyways, you got a question for Dan?
Yeah. So, my question is regarding like, does it get uncomfortable for people who study archaeology and different groups of people when you can start to see distinctions between different groups of races and stuff?
No, it's just, I mean, like, how do you put it? There's no, I don't think there's any real discomfort in the conversation until, I guess the best way to put it, until there is, like I mentioned earlier with the Tartaria thing, it kind of feels like a East European version of We Was Kangs, and then there's the whole, all the races interbred with different subspecies, and this is why some are smarter than others, and all that kind of stuff is always going to get a knee-jerk reaction, and in my opinion, it's warranted. I'll frequently compare it to if you get a psychology paper on transgenderism written by somebody who's either hardcore anti-transgender or that they are transgender, you tend to be a little skeptical of that paper because they have a dog in the fight. It's the same thing here. When people talk about races and talk about genetic differences and stuff, that shit's used every day in science. Somebody starts saying that makes them dumb and that makes them smart. The scientists are just going to like turn their head on that because you can't trust the source. At that point, the person that's giving you the data has a dog in the fight. And so,
Yeah. Sounds like Dan's not going to read your paper, Slav.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's not even about reading papers. I mean, if you look at them, a lot of these people, they got like smaller prefrontal cortexes and much denser amygdalas. So, lack of impulse.
I mean, I think what Dan's saying is that you cannot ascribe like, certain things to entire groups like you would be prone to do, Slav.
I mean, like if you want to take the exact argument that you're engaging in right there, we could just flip it around and make it a feminist argument and then start talking about crime statistics and all that shit, and all of a sudden men are the problem.
Right.
This is a loaded argument, and that's why it's ignored.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I was just wondering, because it was just weird how, like, Abos lived on that island with the kangaroos for, like, 20,000 years, but they never built a house. And then, you know, the Queen sent all her reprobates from Scotland and Ireland there, and then they just built up a whole society in 200 years. And
Well,
then,
they came from somewhere that had that
Africa-
stuff. Like, I mean, isn't it
Yeah,
the same thing as
and
there's
then
all those like Amazon tribes where they've never come in contact with people before, and they're just like, yeah, obviously they don't have modern technology. You're just saying, why
But
didn't they
also-
arrive at having modern technology?
Yeah, it's also like the other one is the sub-Saharan, where they sat in the dirt, had no furniture, and then when Europeans and Portuguese arrived, they showed them, hey, we have furniture. And the first thing that the sub-Saharans did was use their own people as furniture.
Well,
Especially when
don't
they're,
knock
like,
it until you try it, Slav. All right,
Well,
thanks, Slav.
I-
I can't have the same conversation with this guy every fucking week.
That's just funny. Like, okay. I mean,
It's just the same conversation.
You know,
every week. I go,
yeah, and it's well, that to me, like I said, it's if you got such if you're that invested in it from that like an ideological perspective, left, right, I don't give a shit. I don't if you're a wing cuck, you're a fucking wing cuck. Sorry, I
Sure.
don't care what it's for.
Sure. All right, let's go to Cade. Oh, actually, let's not go to Cade because he wants to talk about Canada. We'll do that in 20 minutes.
Sorry, kid.
Sorry,
I'm
Cade.
not Canadian. I'm one of
Yeah.
those people that's trying to annex the place. You get to keep the French speaking part.
Yeah, no, they're coming too. Sorry, you don't get
I'm
to
joking.
choose.
I'm joking. Georgia St. Pierre is great.
Yeah, you get him. All right, we got Aaron. Aaron, you there? Aaron.
He wants to start it up.
He wants to start it up. I don't know what that's in reference to. Aaron, are you
Rolling
there?
Stones.
No. Okay. No, Aaron. Let's go to Aiden. He has a totally unrelated. Aiden, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
What is
Hello,
happening?
Dan and
You
Danny.
are on with Dan. It's Danny and Dan.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
So I have it's a very like small scale conspiracy theory. I'm curious. Whenever I bring this up to people, they think I'm crazy, but it might just exist.
Well,
I
I
call
mean,
it show table.
that's what makes it a good conspiracy theory. If they don't think you're crazy, you
So
ain't trying.
It's but the bar industry. Have you ever, when you go to a bar on like a sunny day, they've got like an empty patio table. You go inside, you talk to them, and they say, "Oh, it's reserved" or whatever.
Okay.
That's my conspiracy theory. That those are completely fake. That's like I call it a show table. It only exists to get people lured in so they can sit you in the back. But
Oh,
apparently
you're
tourism
saying
is,
because you're like, I
you know,
want to sit on the pat. I've never really personally experienced this where you go somewhere and they're like, usually patios are first come first serve. Generally, I mean, I know they like struggling restaurants do that thing where they seat you at the front of the restaurant, like near the window, to make it seem busier from like the street. I know that.
So this is the opposite.
I
where
do.
it's, like,
I do
packed
remember going
and they
to
don't-
like
yeah.
in my days when I was younger, and I would unfortunately find myself at like a nightclub, and then you would like be in a line for like an hour, like that shit where you're like in line for an hour, and then you get in and the place is empty, and you're like, why was I in line for an hour if the place is fucking empty? And they're like, oh, because we want a huge line outside.
Yep.
Yeah, but
no, I've never experienced that. But to be fair, the bars that I go to, if they do have a patio, it's going to be covered with fentanyl addicts. So,
gotcha. Yeah,
not
yeah.
because I like fentanyl, but because I go downtown.
Sure.
Not the prime real estate. So
Yeah.
I think that.
Why do you see this? Where are you
all
from?
Restaurants are doing. I'm from Edmonton. I've seen this in Calgary. I've seen it in like Hawaii, I think.
Well,
I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
be
everywhere. That
I'm gonna
happens
be in
on Main
Edmonton
Street
this
bars.
weekend, so I'll check it out. I'll see if I can confirm this, but I've never seen this. It's definitely not a New York thing. New York is usually it's just first come first serve for patio spots.
So I think it goes even deeper. Like I think this is a secret industry thing that they know. I was at a coffee shop once, and they had it's like a busy downtown coffee shop where too many people post up and like take too long and like never never pay more money. You only get one coffee. They sit there for 5 hours or whatever.
Sure.
So all these businesses have a thing called bulking where they're just like, people come in, they're like, oh, I can't sit anywhere, I'm out. So they had a table, like primo table that was open, and there was a strobe light flashing on that table. So if you were to sit at that table, you would hate it. I literally went through this experience of being like, oh, sweet, I can sit there. This place is packed. That's open. Cool. Got the coffee, sat down, couldn't stand it because there's a strobe light blinking at you. Then
But
I had to like move.
but there were other tables though. They were just occupied.
Yeah, exactly. So
I
like
guess
it was
you
like
could-
a table that appeared open, so you would go and like get something, but then you actually can't use it.
Oh, gotcha. Because you're like, I'll just get something, sit at that table. Because otherwise, you wouldn't have made a purchase. That's what you're saying. You would have just been like, I'll go somewhere else. Interesting strategy, I suppose. I can't imagine a lot of people would probably pick up on that. Although it is weird that there's just like a strobe light on this one table. I mean, I know coffee shops. I see it more and more where they're like, we don't have Wi-Fi because they just straight up do not want people camping out there. Which is
Not unless you can afford to pay for unlimited Wi-Fi, in which case we've got a chair for you, buddy.
Yeah,
Sit right
exactly.
down.
I mean, you're like, I can tether my phone. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna go. Well, I actually see some coffee shops say no laptops. Actually,
Oh yeah,
straight up, they're just like no laptops allowed.
Yeah. So I think that all falls in this realm of like, how do you trick people into staying in your business even if you don't have the primo? Because like you go like with the bars and when you see the patio, you're like, sweet, we'll sit there. If I didn't see a patio table, I would just go to the next bar. But they keep that one open intentionally to get people to come in, and then they try and like downsell you on the table.
I mean, I think the problem with that though is that if you're in any area where there's like many bars, and generally bars are near other bars, like if your like plan was to go sit on a patio, then you're like, well, I want to specifically go have beers on a patio, and if they're like, well, our patio is not available, then you're like, I'm going somewhere else. They're like, you want to go inside? And you're just like, no, I came to do, it's a nice day. I want to sit on a patio. So I mean, maybe that works on somebody. I'm going to give this conspiracy theory a 2 out of 10.
You're saying I'm just a sucker and I just fall for these things. But
well, I'm just like, why? I mean, if you're saying that they did this to you, then tell me, why didn't you just be like, I don't want to sit at the back of a dark bar in the middle of the day. I'm going to a patio next door or something. Like, why didn't you do that?
Well, usually I think it's because every patio, like in these contexts, I'm thinking like Calgary Stampede, like every patio.
Oh, I mean, if every patio is not available, then yeah, I guess yeah. If literally there's no patio space available anywhere, then I guess that's just a savvy little trick, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I think it is. And I haven't seen, whenever I tell people I call it show tables, no one's heard of this. They think I'm insane. So
you are a bit insane. Yeah. All right, Aiden. Appreciate it, man.
Take care, Aiden.
Aiden, everybody. Okay, let's go to Mark says, relatable Calgary Stampede reference. Very relatable.
Hey, Danny, it's Format. How are you doing?
Format, what's up, man? All the way from Ontario. What's up?
Good on. Yeah. So, a couple of things. I suppose I wanted to give a quick reply to Goob's comment when he was saying that we should just focus on talking to the people that get the idea that that it's not what the old guard believes, and we shouldn't argue with them. But the thing is, the old guard has control over all of this shit, right? Like in archaeology, most of these places, like when you want to go and do any archaeology there, it's controlled by the likes of the Zahi, Hawasses, and the rest. And so, if you want to get access to those places, if you want to investigate anything, you have to deal with these people, right? Because they're gonna make some criticisms online, and if you just don't talk about it, then everyone's gonna think that your side is crazy. So you gotta.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is this is like a debate space. Like everybody obviously is.
Yeah.
Debating to a degree.
So I don't think there's any getting away from talking to those people, especially because like they hold all the cards, right? So.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Now. And Dan, I'm a huge fan. Been following your work ever since it was just a little bit before your Joe Rogan interview that I found some of your work, and I love it, but I have a little bit of criticism. Right? I have criticism. only for the people I
Everyone's a
respect the
critic,
most.
huh?
Yeah,
all right,
no,
my
but you know, like literally, I have constructive criticism for the people who I respect the most, right? If I don't
Fair
care
enough.
about you, I don't care, right?
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, so the problem that I have is with this almost like catchphrase you seem to be like almost married to, and it's the you know you don't believe in high technology, right? And so let me make a case for why I think low technology makes sense, right? Like I got into this like back in like the early 2000s. You know, my dad, who's an engineer and an electrician, a little bit like you know, like a no nonsense type of guy. He showed me this documentary. Right, this is a Russian documentary, and a bunch of Russians who wanted to investigate this idea that there was, you know, some kind of advanced technology potentially at play in Egypt went there, and the one thing about Russians and Egyptians that you know they have in common is bribing officials, right? Or you know the police is it's a major theme, right? Like in Russia, you can get away with just about anything if you have you know a few bucks to throw the cops, and so they go to Giza. And you know they bring some cash and they bribe every guard they could to get to all the places and find all kinds of interesting rocks and whatnot and cuts. And the one thing they find is like what there are a lot of similar things, but like this one specific case, I'm not sure. It's probably there's probably some kind of a name for it. Like there's probably a way to find it in the English world, but these Russian researchers they found like this one stone that's got a cut that is very thin, very deep. It's a very hard stone. I don't know if it was granite or limestone that this stone was, but no, actually no, I do. No, it was granite, and this was a very thin cut, and it's very deep. And they find it, and they're like puzzled, like how could this be the case? So they go to a guy that owns like a granite working factory, right? And they ask him like, how's this possible? And the guy basically throws up his hand and he's like fuck knows how the Egyptians would do it, because today we with our top of the line, you know, diamond tip industrial grade saws cannot make those cuts because they will melt before they get that deep, right? Unless you cool it with water for like you know years and years and years and spend way too much time that is absolutely unrealistic. So we have these cuts that are like super thin, super deep. How to explain that with low technology is kind of wild, right? Like
you kind of just explained it, to be honest with you. Okay, they had saws to cut limestone blocks with. The saws were copper and they used sediment. They would use the quartz and the flint and other hard granite. These things are the sediment can cut, and so basically here's the deal. You can say that it would take too much energy to do that, but at the same time we're talking about like we mentioned earlier, like these temples and stuff that they have in England and whatnot. The amount of time that somebody would put into building one statue potentially in their life or one art piece in their life. You know, it's not unthinkable to think that they would put a lot of effort into it. And ultimately, the biggest reason that I have I'm not opposed to the idea of ancient high technology, but you're going to have to get there first. And everybody jumps the gun, in my opinion. My comment sections, any one of my comment sections are just chock full of people with all kinds of ideas on how they built the pyramids. And a huge portion of those are mundane and untested. And until all that shit's exhausted, I have a hard time, jumping to the next level yet.
Gotcha. Because there can be an explanation, basically, like a possible explanation. And there's no evidence of the contrary, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to underline that this specifically was a piece of granite that there was a super deep cut into, because they were talking to a guy that owned like a granite working factory.
No, I understand.
And,
but it's he's talking about using high torque tools as opposed to somebody running it by hand or by water or something where it's running way slower.
And then there's like a few other examples of like first off, carrying this stuff. So you got to figure out some kind of low tech way of like making these super deep cuts, super fine cuts, super precise cuts. Perfect 90-degree angles. The change in like how perfectly polished these stones are. Like that's a whole bunch of technology that we have to somehow figure out.
A lot of that stuff we already know. The polish, for example. If you go to a machine shop today, they're going to have a table that's a granite table, that's a flat table, that's precision. It's down to like the thousandth of an inch, right? But more than a thousandth of an inch, and that was made by lapping. They took two pieces of granite and they put some paste between them, some liquid and some abrasive material, and they rub them back and forth. And that's how they make a precision table. So it's super low tech, super duper low tech to make things perfectly smooth. To make granite perfectly smooth can be done with nothing but water, sand, and time. So there's a lot of this stuff.
A lot of time. This is a
this
lot
is what we
of
do today.
right?
They still do it today. There's a shitload of granite that's made today by hand. I mean, I've got clips of it in videos. See, that's where I come out with these things. I'm not opposed to the idea of ancient high technology, but a lot of these things, like Google stone lapping, LAPPING, look that up and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There's Chinese factories right now with dudes with just a piece of granite on one hand smoothing out a bigger piece of granite. And it's happening all the time right now. So,
and I guess there is this factor of you have unlimited people to do this, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is carrying these. First, there's millions of blocks. They're gargantuan. Carrying them whatever hundreds of miles. Once again, we have to come up with some kind of like fancy low tech approach. And I think, and people try to figure all of this out. I think at this point in our civilization, we have so much science. We have 8 billion people. We have computers. We now have AI, and we still can't figure out this low tech approach to carrying millions of blocks. If they were doing
there are theories about how
they'd be doing it to this day.
But aren't there theories about how they did that?
There are.
Carried it? No, there's one that's
aren't
like
they
the
like
most
levers or something like?
They carried it by water. It's so
like
fucking unbelievable. Like, it's millions of super massive blocks. It wasn't carried by water. I don't believe that for a goddamn second.
Okay, well, Dan.
I think to me.
Hold on, for a minute. Let Dan answer here.
Well, when we earlier I mentioned like the loss of stoneworking ability when we started to use metal, and an example that I like to use for this is in Vietnam. At the end of World War II, sniper schools were the first thing to get disbanded because most of them were impromptu. They were just like, you ask the CO, he says you can have one, but then they cut the funding at the end of the war. Sniper schools were non-existent in the early days of Vietnam. And the guys on the ground are like, hey, we need some fucking snipers. And so when they started training snipers, they didn't have anybody that had good skills. They had better guns. Their snipers that they had better guns than the guys did in World War II, but they were getting shittier results. So they ended up bringing in U.S. marksmen from Olympics, right? That was the best that they could do. So Olympic marksmen were training Vietnam-era snipers because in 20 years, we lost the knowledge. So in my mind, like, there are going to be mundane answers that, like, all these different people, all these different AIs and everything, they're looking at it from a perspective that I think, I just think that I think if we were to see it done, it would be so dumbfoundedly simple. We would just be like, I can't believe we're discussing this for so long. But
sure,
maybe, yeah, but it's just like we're not even I don't know. We're so not close to figuring out anything. Like the closest people have is like some way out there ideas. Somehow, sound levitation allowed us to carry this, but it's. I think. Like in my opinion, like Occam's razor begs high technology. I think it's so much easier to explain this as a high technology that was able to shape these things, figure out the perfect design somehow.
But there's no kind of evidence anymore of those things existing.
Sure, yeah. But there's also no evidence of the low technology either. So it's one or the other.
Sure,
right.
except
well,
we know there were low technology societies, though. I mean, that's where I look at it from, is that we do know that the Egyptians used hand-powered lathes and hand-powered mills, and they started their fires with hand. I mean, we know these things. We see so many of their things. So To me, what the real mystery is when you talk about the big blocks that have been moved a real long way, to me, the mystery isn't so much how, but it's why. Why the fuck would you take a block 500 miles up and over mountains and then put it in this other thing when you got a stone that's like 2 blocks away? That's where, to me, where the mystery is. And you see this happening quite a bit. So I mean,
Sure.
so I'm not opposed to looking for weird stuff, but yeah, the ancient high technology is something that again, until we've really you're really going to have Baalbek is the only one that I'll even look at and say, well, it's tough to say about that, but even in Baalbek, I don't think that they had anything that we would be too in awe of. We would just be
Sure.
like, God damn it, why didn't we do that?"
All right, I gotta let you go, format.
Just to address.
Yeah, go ahead quickly.
Let me wrap it up with just a couple of points. To address the low tech, high tech societies. We know that there was low tech societies, but we also know that there was something like societies way more advanced that we completely lost all the knowledge from because this stuff that's coming out of Sumerians, these guys out of nowhere appear with complex legal frameworks, beer recipes, all kinds of interesting stuff that seems like a society that was pretty high, and then and then we get flooded and lose all that knowledge. So I think there's a good case for a high-tech society being back in the day. And just a few things out there to throw out there that kind of add on to the idea that high-tech is easier to explain than low-tech. I mean, it's the perfect symmetry in some of the statues where the left side perfectly meets the right.
I've explained this in my videos.
Yeah, go
There's
ahead.
a thing called the point
I'll
machine.
look
So
into
low tech. Check out. I've got one, Ancient Symmetry Explained.
Okay. And then the Bara caves, I mean, that's really interesting. I highly recommend anyone that hasn't seen the Hoysales Temple in India and all the Ellora caves. That shit is so mind-bending. I mean, they somehow cut out like a perfect temple ground in one shot. Not a single piece of rock had to be like re-glued because like there was no mistakes. They carve out these perfect temple grounds, perfect temples. And some of the statues there's a guy named by the name of Praveen Mohan. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I'll be speaking with Praveen. I won't be necessarily on stage with him, but we're both going to be at the Cosmic Summit here in June.
There you go.
Hell yeah. He's got this video called Hoysales Temple. I think it's like ancient high precision technology or something along the line. But basically, if you look up Praveen Mohan and Hoysales Temple, you'll find this video that shows these pillars at this temple that are so perfect, and then there's these statues that have masks, and the masks on these people in these statues, they below the mask there is all of this perfectly carved out face, and this is all made out of one piece, right? Like the mask on top of the face is the same piece as the rest of the statue.
Yeah, it's all just.
And how someone would get underneath there and carve all of that out,
I mean, if you ever go see like Bernini, though, I know it's probably different times, but it's like you look at his stuff and you're just like, how is this possible either? Anyways, format. I gotta let you go, man.
All right.
Format, everybody. All right, let's take one last quick call. We got Jared. Let's hope this isn't about the Jews. I was told it's not, but it might be. It's a topic close to his heart. Jared, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
What's up? All right, quick question, because Dan's got to go. But go ahead, Jared.
I wanted to inquire about the origins archaeologically of the Star of David, the six-pointed star hexagram. From what we understand, it's found in Jainism in India, in the Levant, and Native American cultures. And just what do you know of its origins and its associations with Saturn and Levant, and is there other Saturn associations elsewhere?
I don't know a whole lot about it, to be honest with you. That stuff, I've both the swastika and the Star of David, as far as oddly enough, as far as like looking into these cross-cultural connections, I feel like those ones are too they're so popular that it's hard to sift through the data to see up from down a lot of the times. I end up like feeling like I need to see pictures, and then it's not as easy to research as a lot of the other things because of how loaded they are. But I have heard a little bit about it, but I'm not. I wish I could give you a better answer, but I would just be bullshitting you if I was to try to say anything.
just to supplement a little information you may not be familiar with, there is archaeological references at churches in Armenia, and Armenia has a very ancient culture. India, these symbols are found, as we know, in the Levant, and it's associated with Solomon's seal, and it's quite prevalent. And some people associate that symbol with old magical practices. And I know that's not necessarily your expertise or what it is you were brought on here to speak about, but I was just curious.
You're talking about like the
if you
Key of
were-
Solomon and shit. Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely out of the loop on that stuff. Yeah, that's if you're talking about it from that kind of perspective, well, yeah, if you want to get secret societical about it, it's quite possible that it was part of a chunk of how would you put it, like a piece of a pot of knowledge that involved spellcraft and whatnot. I mean, I guess Solomon was supposed to have been like a pretty good at subduing demons, right? I mean, again, I'm not real adept at this stuff, but I've read about it a little bit. If I remember right, he was pretty good at like putting demons in
Correct.
cages, kind of thing, right?
Yes, he, according to I believe it's the Zohar, he summoned at one point 72 demons and had them trapped in a jar. And one in particular was called the Shamir, which he used, which is like a worm-like creature that he used to, or demon, which he used to build a temple at night when people were sleeping. But that aside, the idea was that, speaking of continental shipping societies like the Phoenicians and the seafaring people and the people who may have existed like Atlantis, when you consider that symbols like the Star of David and the magical practices that are associated with it in the occult and the esoteric, being it's found in so many cultures that have connections to old civilizations, and these things are carved in stone. I think it's maybe something worth looking into, being your in the field.
All right.
I was just curious if you had any information on it. But thank you again. Always a pleasure, Danny, and thank you for your time.
Good talking to you, Jared. Yeah. That was Jared, everybody. All right, we got to let Dan go. Thank you very much, Dan, for joining me. I really appreciate your time. Where can people? Where's the best place for people to find you?
Debunking on YouTube is DEDUNKING. Debunking, but with 2 Ds.
Sure.
You can find me on Instagram or on Twitter. All links are all on YouTube. Basically, that's where.
Cool.
You could just look up Dan Richards. You'll find me.
And I'll put the links below. All right, Dan. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it very much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Be well. There. Hold on. Okay. Sorry. Stupid here. All right, bye, Dan. All right, everybody. That was Dan. How do I remove this? Okay, and this. All right, and we got extra time. Phone lines are open. 1-888-949-2969. Everybody. Whatever you want to talk about. Mark Carney is the new Prime Minister of Canada. I know some of you are on hold. I'm going to get to you in a moment. I'm just going to read some super chats, if any I missed. I hope you guys enjoyed that guest. Pretty interesting stuff. We have... Let's see. Reagan says, what flavors in you rockin'? They're all good. Wintergreen. Eric Burleson says, welcome back. It's good to be back. Also, there's no show next week because I'm going to be in Edmonton, unfortunately. Floor 2 Records says, love the show. Connor is cute. Shout out to my band, Citrus Moon. Citrus Moon. Genre is scrote rock. Ooh, I like it. New genre of music. Check out Citrus Moon, everybody. Aggressive Yeti says, watch everyone special. Yeah, do it. Hellspawn Inc. says, low value made many Southern Poverty Law Centers lists yet. If not, send them a non-message. It'd be good for ratings. Yeah, help me out, guys. Get me on ADL, SPLC, all that stuff. Aggressive Yeti says legs. I assume that's asking if Dan washes his legs. Sorry, I didn't get to that. C Dumps says 20. C Dumps then posted another one with nothing. And Sean from Pittsburgh says great up. Thank you, Sean from Pittsburgh. Logan Sorter says thermite paint on the steel beams. All right. We're going to go an extra. We're going to go till midnight. Mark Carney currently. Man, that would have been such a good bet. I should have listened to myself. Mark Carney currently 97% chance to be the prime minister on Polymarket, which means sounds like it's a good news. It's a lock. Question will be whether it's a minority or majority government. Most of you don't care. All good. Okay, let's go to Cade. He wants to talk Canada. And the phone lines are open. 1-888-949-2969. Let me get Connor. Connor, come here. He's sleeping. I'll see if I can get him over. Cade, are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
Very well. How are you, sir? Where are you calling from?
Alberta.
Berta, what's happening? Going to be there on the weekend.
Yes, sir. Going to come and see you there.
Nice. Looking forward to it. I'm really not happy about the fact that the Oilers are playing 2 games during my shows, but that's how it is. I was really hoping
Hopefully they don't fuck up like last year. That was a disgrace.
Fuck up like last year in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Oh,
I mean, the fact that they made it to Game 7 and lost by 1 goal in the Stanley Cup, like after being down, were they down 3-0 or 3-1? They're down 3-0, right?
Oh,
They almost reverse sweep the Panthers. I mean, that would have been amazing. But anyways, I'm hoping that they just wrap it up, and I'm hoping they just win the next 2 games, and then at least because the Saturday show, I'm not gonna lie. If Game 7 of that series is happening during the show, not only is the show going to suck, because if you know anything about Edmonton, they're a big hockey city, but I'm going to want to watch the game. Even worse.
The mall is going to be absolutely packed, man.
Oh, it's going to be
it'll absolute riot. You won't be able to tell any jokes, nothing.
It's going to be fucking crazy. I really should have I couldn't have predicted it because I couldn't have known the schedule, although I would have known that this would have been the first week of playoffs, but whatever. It just is what it is. So what's up, Cade? You happy about the election results?
I mean, I predicted it. Like, I figured I didn't think them guys were going to get back in personally.
No. It's literally epic fumble of epic proportions. The fact that
true.
Dude, 3 months ago, it was literally like this guy is a lock to be the next prime minister. Like
truly hilarious shit
absolute lock of the century, and then just fucking fucked it up.
But hey, Orange Man bad, it's just how it works up here. Like I got family out east, and they're just like, oh yeah, man, elbows up. Like
yeah.
3 months ago, you were talking pretty good about the Conservatives. Now all of a sudden, it's elbows up. I think you're.
Yeah, exactly. They won the slogan game. That's the thing, is the Liberals won the slogan game, I guess. But I mean, it'll be to be determined whether this was. I mean, my opinion, this is actually not even for Canada, like their economy or anything. But I'm like, seems like it is weird too, where everyone is voting for the guy that Trump wants to win. Like everybody has to just they just have to set aside the fact that they're like, yeah, but Trump said this is the guy he wants to win. And they're like, no, he's just doing some weird reverse psychology thing. And you're like, maybe he is, maybe he's not. Maybe this is who he wants to win. And then you're like, you're voting for the guy he endorsed.
Some of the investments that Mark Carney had with that Brookfield there.
Yeah.
They invested $1 billion into Kushner's business.
Yeah. They gave him a big loan.
So there's a little bit of leverage there, but
Sure. And I mean, maybe that again, there is an element where Trump is maybe like, yeah, this is who I want. For whatever reason, I'm not trying to play some reverse psychology game where you guys elect a conservative. It's just that's who I want. That's who I prefer. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But
probably because he got what he wanted in NAFTA trades and that. So
yeah. And I mean, look, as flawed as Mark Carney is, I mean, at least I will concede, in an economic crisis, he probably will do fine. I don't really know how he's going to proceed, but you're you can't say he's not qualified, at least from an economic sense. But I don't know how in Canada, if the Bank of Canada is independent like they are in the United States. or they just do the bidding of the prime minister. I actually don't know the answer to that. So,
Neither do I don't.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But so otherwise, you're just like whatever.
Well, I mean, it was pretty well bound to happen. This is a Reddit country, really. But I'm looking at the numbers now. You could have a situation which was like in the 1920s here, where the opposition and the third party went behind the prime minister's back, and they formed their own government, like what they did with Le Pen.
But you're saying that the Conservatives and the NDP would form a coalition?
No, the French frogs.
Oh, yes. Everybody forgets that they are actually the third party, even though they only represent a single province. But they are. That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting if that happened. I asked a previous call. Yeah, go ahead.
I just hope all this tariff stuff doesn't get too like fucking serious here, because like I got like a farm in that, and my cow, like if the beef prices and that go like stupid or like bad down, I'm gonna have lose my shirt on that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that is my theory about what Trump is doing. Is he's gonna literally try and put the screws to as many people like you as possible, and then say like, hey, like there's a way out of this. And it's not that bad. Like there's like literally most people in the world, if you gave them this option, they would be fucking jumping at this opportunity, like just by itself. And they're like, and he'll be like, not only does all this economic pain end, but you also get to join America. And you know, that's my theory anyways. I don't know, obviously, if that'll happen, but
I mean, working up north, like it's almost talked by absolutely everybody
about joining the U.S.
Leaving Canada, like everybody, even all the old farmers are talking about it. Like,
but go where? That's the thing. I see this all the time where people are like, you know, if Carney wins, I'm leaving, and then all these people are like, yeah, well, if you want to fucking leave, go, and you're like, go where? It's like it's not easy to move to America. Like America does not make it specific. Like I guess
in a different province.
Oh, move to a different province. Like that'll be better. How is that going to be better?
No, that's what they think it's like jumping down there.
Oh, they think, yeah. They think it's like, yeah. You're like, I mean, you could move to Mexico maybe, but like, that's not, I don't think what people, like when people say I'm moving, they mean they're moving to the U.S. Like you want to move to Spain? They didn't have fucking power today in the entire country.
Funny thing about Spain is they just had there's like 6 days ago, they went to 100% renewable energy.
I know. I saw that. They had this great achievement where they're like, we hit 100% renewable energy. And then 6 days later, Europe is in some like major blackout. Spain, Portugal, all these other countries today. So, but so would you be open to the prospect of joining the United States, or would if you had the choice between Alberta being a sovereign nation or just joining the United States as a 51st state, do you have a preference there?
I mean, I really don't care. I'm more tied to the land than anything. Like I don't.
Like you're Alberta first.
I don't really consider myself a. Oh yeah. I want what's best for my province locally. Like my premier's looking out for us the most. She was flying down to the States and talking with Trump and everybody, like Ben Shapiro and that, and being just like, why? Don't hurt us. Like we're gonna work with you.
Yeah, but the problem is now you have a prime minister who's, you know, meant to represent the country, who probably is going to represent people's interests outside of yours.
True. Yeah.
Right. So you're like you're kind of going to get put in this tough position here. But yeah, I am the whole Alberta component of this is all very interesting now. How this shakes out, because I mean, like I said, I imagine most people people in downtown Edmonton are probably like, yeah, we are liberal and that's who we wanted, but you know, it's still not a majority of the province.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'll let you go there so you can get to other callers.
Take care, man. Good talking to you. Cade, everybody. Cade, good old Alberta boy. All right. Someone wants. I don't know what this question is about, but we're gonna take. Phone lines are closed. Everybody, we got 4 in the queue, and that's about all the time we want or have. Excuse me. Sign up for the Patreon, everybody. Patreon.com/low value mail. Hello, you are on low value mail. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Danny, I think this is James.
Hey, what's up, James?
Hey, first of all, first time tuning in. Big fan of you with all the stuff you do with Ryan.
Excellent.
It's a lot of fun. I think I'm gonna, listen to the stream more. I mean, I had a question for your guest, just kind of about like high level stuff. Why
he's gone,
archaeologists,
unfortunately.
anthropologists. I know, but
okay.
whatever.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Shoot him a DM on YouTube.
Yeah, let's hear it.
But as an American, with this whole Canada annex stuff, I do have like at least 2 cents to kind of throw your way for that.
Okay.
I'm not, and I might be like really unpopular with this opinion. One, I'm not 110% sold that Trump really would annex Canada if given the chance. You know what I mean?
I mean, he won't do it by force. He won't do it by force. That would literally cause so many global problems.
Right, of course
because
not.
It can't be done. It can't be done by force.
No, and frankly, this is going to be another thing that I'm going to say. Like, I've spent a ton of time in Canada, camping, canoeing, portaging through like Ontario, Provincial Park, Temagami.
Yeah.
Did the Rupert River.
Good shit up there.
I really, really love a lot of Canada. I'm not like somebody, and I don't know like anybody that's like, even people that like Canada, they're like, yeah, we need to be our 51st state. I kind of like that, different countries do different things, have different vibes.
Sure.
I'm not convinced that we would. I don't know, man. To me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, from a standpoint of like resources, like if you're America, like I always say this as just like if you're playing a game of Risk, and you have the America piece, naturally you would be like, I want Canada, right? That kind of just seals you off perfectly. You have oceans on both sides. You have the Arctic to the north. I mean, you'll always be stuck with the Mexican border, but I guess, they're dealing with that. But for the most part, from that standpoint, but like, Canada is very resource rich. So like, if you could get it, you would absolutely want it if you're the United States. Like just the value of it. If you just if you just priced it out, like you'd just be like, yeah, this is obviously a no-brainer if we can get it.
For sure. So I just have a couple questions because I legitimately don't know mainly about like regulation around whatever natural gas, crude oil, consumption, whatever.
Yeah.
Accrual. I'm guessing you guys are probably in a similar situation to us where you have a decent amount, you're kind of sitting on it for whatever reason, climate change.
Well, they have, I believe the oil sands are like, I want to say like the 3rd largest oil deposit on Earth, something like that. It's pretty substantial.
Right, but so my point is, but you're not tapping into it due to like regulation.
Essentially, yeah, it's all climate stuff.
Largest, but like
it's climate and it's also distribution because there's no pipeline that runs across the country. So essentially, all the oil from Alberta has to go, and there's no refineries in Alberta or Canada, I believe. So I think all the oil in Alberta still has to just make its way down to Oklahoma to get refined.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
And look, I don't know. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I am under the impression that like Alaska is more or less untapped. I understand it's probably like a drop in the bucket compared to all of Canada, but again, it just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like like we have a couple contingencies we could exercise.
And I mean, even in the continental United States and offshore.
It seems like a lot for what?
And
I like y'all. I don't want to piss y'all off.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's just oil. I think that would probably be the icing on the cake. Like there are tons of like, rare earth minerals, timber there. But I do think that, at least if you believe what Steve Bannon said, where it is this defense component with a potential war with China, where essentially like if China were to become aggressive or if America was supposed to, get aggressive with China, like that is a weakness for America, Canada, essentially. Like they could come through Canada and Canada's not equipped to defend themselves. Like that's for sure. So I think that is an element of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I guess, I look, and this is kind of embarrassing. I am American. I don't even know this, but 2 things. One,
I mean, Alaska's a decent percentage of that Pacific coastline, right? Two, I believe there's quite a number of, bases or like military personnel mobilized in Alaska in case of that. And I don't know. Again, I just feel like it's like unnecessary to be like, well, in case China were to invade Canada, we need to annex it. I feel like there would be a pretty like mutual. I think people would be willing to put like the Trump shit aside and be like, okay, we need to work together on this because we're about to get
absolutely. But I understand the Americans thing because they're like, there is not working together. Like, it's just we're doing it. Like, if China decides to invade, like, they wouldn't do it from Alaska. I guess if they maybe made some sort of deal with Russia.
You guys like would
the working together is literally just like, okay, well, America, you do it. Like, there's 60,000 people in the Canadian military. Like, it's nothing. Like, it's like, they have very little equipment, very little personnel. Like, they are definitely, Canada has no chance to prevent a Chinese invasion. And Canada is, the politicians, many of them are compromised by China. So there's also that element to it, right? Like, there's
people there's people here now are kind of that way too, if I'm going to be honest with you. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
like people they hate Trump so much they simp for China, and it's just
no. It's not even simping for China. It's like the Chinese CCP has sway in Canadian politics. Like they have like infiltrated Canadian politics, like to a point where you would think that like that is like actual national security concern. Like, it's not just like people like, oh, I like China. You're like, no. It's much deeper than that. Like, they have like politicians who are in China's like back pocket, if you were.
All right, that's a little fucking scary.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. I'll let you get going so you can talk to more people.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, like I said, just want to give you my 2 cents there, man. Again, big fan of what you and Ryan do.
Thank you.
Try and tune in this a little bit more.
Cool.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Take care. All right, let's go to Billy from Philly. And then we got Joe the lawyer, Tony Scarboni. Billy, what's up?
Danny boy.
How you doing, man?
Hey, Anthem.
How are things?
Cool. Hey, I'm cooking a big ass tomahawk steak and some collard greens out on my fancy grill I made.
What do you got there? A Traeger? You got one of those wood pellet grills?
No, I made it. It's like an asado. It's asado Argentinian style grill. I have a welding shop, so I plasma cut these designs out. I'm going to try to start selling them on Facebook and stuff.
Nice.
It's like 3 foot round. They come in different sections.
Dude, I'll pump your grills, man. So you send me a link?
Oh, sweet.
Fuck yeah, man.
Oh, that'd be awesome, dude.
Dude, the scroat.
Cool.
I mean, I know the scroats like to grill, man. Scroats, if I know anything about the scroats, they like to grill.
Oh.
And I'm sure they want to support their own.
Looking.
That's cool.
Oh, that'd be cool, man. Well, anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask if so you can't do the 23andMe thing in Israel because they don't want to know their heritage, right? It's illegal. You can't do DNA
no,
testing.
actually, Joe the lawyer, who is coming on next, he actually gave the explanation. And the reason is because this is the official reason. I'm sure some people are like, they don't buy it. But all marriages in Israel are considered like religious, like there is some sort of religious oversight. And you legally cannot marry a bastard in Israel, like under, I guess, like whatever the law. You cannot marry someone who is a bastard. So that's the reason behind the genetic testing, is because if people knew, I guess, then it would fuck up like marriages, because they kind of just like let it go, obviously, because that would not be good for society if literally you're like, yeah, I was born out of wedlock, I'm not allowed to get married. So anyways, Joe, if I missed anything, Joe can clear it up, but that's essentially the explanation for it. It's not like some conspiracy, but I don't think anybody who believes it is a conspiracy will be satisfied with that answer.
Okay.
But that's the explanation.
Okay. I was getting to this, make my main point, was if your family's from Hungary, right? Or
Russia,
Hungary?
Ukraine, Russia area.
I had a great grandmother that came over in 1914 to Philly, and so from Ukraine, but she was Russian Orthodox. Anyway,
Yeah, same
so where do you get your black or a lot of Orthodox Jews, not Orthodox, just a lot of Jewish people? Where's the black curly hair come in? If they're European, most of them are like fair skin, blonde hair, but you see like all these dudes with the black thick, like you got a nice head of hair on you, but where's it come from? Where's the genetics there?
I don't know. I mean, like my mom has I have my mom's hair and also my grandmother's hair on her side, like her mom. We all have the same hair. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. That is a good question. I don't know where it comes from. My dad has pretty straight hair.
But just in general, like a lot of the Europeans are, a lot of Israel is from European descent. But are they mixed in with like some of the original Israel that would be darker with the blacker hair, like the Palestinian they all have black hair. I never met one with I didn't meet a ton, but with brown hair, they're always black hair.
Yeah, it's always just like dark hair. That's a good question. I don't know. I would just guess it's from like just tons of mixing over time, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That is a good question. Maybe Joe knows why. Well, we'll ask Joe what his hair looks like.
We'll do some homework on it. I'll check in with you next week. I love you. God
Appreciate it. Thanks, Billy. Billy from Philly, everybody.
Later.
Once he sells those grills, we're gonna pump them, baby. Connor, come here. Come here. He does not want to come over here. Joe the lawyer.
Hey, Danny, how you doing?
Joe, do you have black curly hair?
No, my hair is actually more blondish.
Ah, interesting. Interesting twist.
Yeah.
When I picture you in my mind, I do not picture a blonde man.
Yeah, but black curly hair is very common with. I have very curly hair though, although it's straightened out as I got older.
Do you have any theories as to why Jews have dark hair?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the DNA, well, yes, Ashkenazi Jews do have European DNA. There was obviously some, like interbreeding, either through rape or conversion. But there's still over 60% Levantine DNA. So, we are still, have most of our DNA still Middle Eastern.
Gotcha. I mean, I feel like I can pass as Middle. I've had people think I was Middle Eastern before. When I get a tan.
There are definitely Palestinians who are lighter than you and have lighter hair than you.
Yeah, I've seen them. Probably not a lot, but they definitely exist. Did I miss anything on the 23andMe answer? I don't know if you heard that.
Okay, so I mean, you're mostly right. So it's a concept called a mamzer, which is usually translated as a bastard. Basically, if someone has a kid not out of wedlock, but if they are married and then they have a kid with someone who they are not married to.
Oh, gotcha.
Which you can easily figure out with DNA. Then that becomes an issue, and they are only allowed to marry someone else who is also a mamzer, also a bastard.
Gotcha.
So that would cause all sorts of issues. So that's why people can still get DNA tests in Israel. It's just you can't get, you can't do like the kits and then submit it and whatever, because that can cause all kinds of issues. You have to specifically go to a site like a hospital or whatever, and then they will do the DNA test with you, but they're not building a family tree with it. So that can be too dangerous.
Because every like really religious person there would demand that just to be sure.
Right, and it's not even just that every religious person, but it would then it can cause an issue where where they can figure it out some other way, and then the rabbinates who control all Jewish marriages, whether you're religious or not,
right,
they would not be able to get married. So
right, and this would it would be Jews and non-Jews would actually basically have this issue.
So non-Jews wouldn't have the issue because there's when it comes to marriages, each religion is in charge of their own thing.
Gotcha.
So the Muslims are in charge of Muslim marriages, and Christians are in charge of Christian marriages.
Okay. Interesting.
But if you're Jewish, then whether you're religious or not, the only way you can get married is through a rabbi.
Right. Gotcha.
It's just the government wanted to make it where marriages are just a religious thing. They're not, done civilly, really.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
Yes, I actually wanted to ask you, have you seen the Ipsos poll regarding Canada, where obviously like most Canadians don't want to be American, but among the 18 to 34 demographic, 43% said that you saw that.
I didn't see that, but I predicted that
So
some
43%
time ago.
said that if they would get American citizenship and their money would be converted into from Canadian money to American money,
right,
they would vote to be part of America. Which, yes, that might cost us some money, because obviously American money's worth more.
Right.
But it's still a bargain of a deal.
Oh, it's a great deal. And here's the thing. I don't think that, like, my theory on this was, I don't think that generation of Canadians really has like a strong Canadian identity, because it's kind of like degraded with, mass immigration and just kind of the whole element of, the last 10 years of essentially like shaming you for being Canadian. And there's nothing to be proud of about being Canadian. And we did all these bad things, and we just were bad, kind of original sin stuff. So I believe that
wasn't a lot of it like BS anyway.
Well, the whole
thing,
the graves, the unmarked graves, which literally still on CBC, I believe last week they repeated that, and then they had to issue like a correction. But the way they do it is they say it on the air where the most people see it, and then they issue a correction on their website where nobody sees it. So, essentially they're able to like propagate this like narrative, false narrative, where, they can say, oh yeah, we made a mistake. But yeah, like, look, there was no question. There were these residential schools. They did mistreat the people who went there. They stole them from their families. Like they were not good. But this whole thing where they were like, yeah, all these unmarked graves, they were killing them on kids en masse. And then as a result of that, there was like, churches were burned down, vandalized, like over 100, and there was absolutely like nothing done about it. There was no investigations, nothing. They just let them go. So, but yeah, the thing is they couldn't do.
You already have almost.
Go ahead.
I'm saying you already have like almost half of young Canadians are open or to being American.
Yeah.
I really think that. With it, like, it's not going to happen anytime soon, but within my lifetime, I do think that Canada, or at least some of the provinces, are going to become part of America.
I mean, it might with this Carney win. I might be like a doomer. I know people like to call me Doomer Dan, but I could see, I have Alberta callers call in, and it seems to be the tone in Alberta that they're not going to be happy with the results here. And there is some sort of pathway to secession, and I think there's going to be a discussion.
Why are you calling yourself a doomer? That's like the best thing that can happen to Canada.
I know, that's the thing. Is like I guess it's more of like a boomer doomer, because the boomers, for them, it's the worst thing. They're like, yeah, they would, they're very comfortable, the boomers in Canada. But the problem is,
you realize that technically right now Canada's still under a king where. The king, whatever, he can just say, "Oh, I don't like the prime minister; he's gone." And technically, he has the power to do that.
Well, I guess theoretically, but only like I don't think in real practicality. Like I don't think if they tried to do that, they would just. In
practicality, he does. Mind you, he wouldn't. But
he wouldn't.
But he can. He does still have the power.
Yeah. But yeah, he does still have the power. I mean, he is on all the new money, but. I guess he could, but if he did, then they would just be like, all right, this is over if you're trying to dictate. Because I know we have like a governor general who's essentially like the conduit between the king and the prime minister, but it's purely like for show. Essentially, they don't really do anything. But yeah, I mean, look, like a lot of people, like if people think home affordability is bad in the United States, it's really bad in Canada, like really, really bad. And, a lot of young people have, unless they get gifted or, inherit something, they have close to no chance of ever owning a home. And, people are going to, especially if like, the price of shit starts going up, like it's going to get bad.
Yeah,
So-
and just also think about all the jobs that it would create. I guarantee you that Canada becomes part of America. There's going to be a ton of American businesses that just move in. It would be incredible for Canada.
I mean, I really
And
think
it
a
would be good for
lot of
America, too.
those,
Like-
a lot of those people though, like those younger people, like they're getting the hell out of there. If they can move to the States, they're going to be gone. I don't think they're going to stick around to be like, I'm American, just like my money changed, but I still live in like Red Deer, Alberta. Like they're gone. They're going
That's what happened with Hawaii. Like Hawaiians, more Hawaiians live on the mainland than in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because it's so much cheaper.
Exactly.
And I'm an American citizen. Why the heck am I staying here?
Yeah, like I mean, my friend he lives in Hamilton, Ontario, near Toronto, and he was down in December, and we were talking. And he's like, his wife's family lives in like Indiana or something, like Indianapolis, which is not much different than Hamilton. He's like, dude, it's so cheap there. I can't believe it. It's like same climate as where he lives. It's it's same climate. It's very similar, and he's just like, it's so much cheaper. I mean, I saw something on Twitter. Someone posted like some mansion in a Dallas suburb, like absolutely like 4,000 square foot brand new mansion. It's like $550,000. It's crazy.
Yep. I mean, America's just huge, and we have land everywhere. You can't afford to buy a place in New York. Okay, so just go a little upstate. You'll find something.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I did a show in Rutherford, New Jersey, literally an hour from Manhattan drive, even less if it's no traffic. And like you get a nice house there for like $400K. It's like that shit is like I see the prices around where I grew up, and like none of my friends who I went to high school with, none of them live in the city I'm from because they're just like it's way too expensive. Like it is crazy.
Well, I moved out.
Yeah.
I moved to Jersey.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's much more reasonable. I did too for 2 months.
I did a 6-bedroom house for a little over $400.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's crazy. Like that shit is, and you're probably fairly close to Manhattan. Like you can't get anything near Toronto for that money. Like nothing. Like you got to be 3 hours away. Yeah. So, anyways,
that's wild.
All right, Joe. Gotta let you go. I gotta wrap this bad boy up and talk to Tony Scarboni. But it was good talking to you. That was Joe the lawyer. 1 second here. Hold on. Don't go. No. He's a jumper. All right. I woke him up from his nap. He's not happy. He's like, what the hell am I still doing here? Oh, man, we're going late. All right. One quick call from Tony Scarboni, and then we're going to wrap this up. Say hi, Connor. Everybody's watching the show just to see. What's up, Tony? How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. Hey, it was a pretty hell of a show last Saturday.
I cannot believe you didn't come say hi, man.
Dude, you're busy fucking doing your bullshit.
Oh, that's crazy, man. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
that is
come on,
insane, dude. I've talked to you on the phone 50 times. You didn't come say hi?
Because apparently the staff, well, okay, so some of the locals have been there for a while. They were saying that they enjoyed the show, but the staff made it hard for them to interact. I got away with fucking yelling shit in the back. But
were you on the late show or the early show? Because the late show was terrible.
Late show.
That was a terrible show. Oh, you came to the worst show of the fucking.
I actually think I did come to the worst show.
Oh, that was by far the worst show. That show was so bad.
But I think, but this usual crowd was whatever. But like,
well, there's like 20 people
there. Me after the show. People were telling me after the show that the staff, they were trying to say, like, as they were interacting with the comedian, the staff was giving them shit for it.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Because there was, like, this table of these, like, fucking drunk chicks or whatever. Yeah, I remember that. And there was, like,
they weren't that bad.
No, they weren't that bad. But, like, I think one of the comics, like, maybe complained or something. And then I think it was either the host or... Yeah.
Yeah, I got to say, Alex Carr, I'm not a fan of him as a radio host, but he's actually a good comedian.
Yeah, he's solid.
Shocked me. His set was good.
Yeah, he's solid.
His set was good. Yeah, man, I didn't want to bother. I don't know. I did probably come to the worst show. It was a Saturday night one, and I
you should have said hi,
Friday.
man. You should have.
Oh, dude, I dapped you in the back. You fucking walked off, and I dapped you in the back. You fucking.
I did have severe stomach issues. I literally had E. coli.
Yeah, fucking Sting Hortons, eh?
Dude, brutal, man. Never eating there again.
No
No produce from Tim Hortons ever again. No vegetables from Tim Hortons.
It's fucking literally, the country is actually literally going to shit. So much so that Danny is taking a shit from the shitty food that you're eating at our
Dude, I
Hortons.
literally shit that weekend. I'm not to get graphic, but over 100 times. It was fucking crazy. I was like that. It was like Indian street food level. Like, it was
man,
insane.
That is, yeah. I hope, whoever wins this election can just like
Mark Carney won. It's over.
Is it Carney?
Oh yeah, it's done.
You know what? I don't even fucking. Is it
unless something happened in the last?
Or...
That's all they're waiting for to find out. But looks like liberal minority, 94% on poly market. So that's at least something.
Yeah, I bet it's a liberal minority. Man, isn't that like, fuck, I had so many friends who are like, well, fucking vote blue, it's time to change the country. But I'm like, I watched like Pierre Poilievre's campaign, and he didn't really have a plan. Like his campaign was just like attacking Carney, and Carney was at least like,
well, he didn't need a plan because he could have never anticipated fucking Donald Trump threatening to take over Canada.
Oh, by the way, I have to say, this fucking Carney winning this election and the Liberals getting some power again, this has to be the greatest rebrand, like the fastest rebranding in modern political history ever.
It's crazy.
It's like, I don't know.
I know.
So many people are upset, yet the Liberals are winning again. What the hell is going on? I don't know, man.
They're back. Another 4 or 5 years of this. They're going to have like a 15-year run, man.
Maybe this set of Liberals will be different from the last. But
well, the thing is like, I don't know if Poilievre gets to stay in charge of the Conservatives. Like, he might be out, right? Because generally, if you lose the election,
he'll be done for sure.
And the thing is like the Conservatives always give you the worst candidates. Like, he's been the first time where you're like, oh, this guy's decent. Otherwise,
decent, right?
Yeah. So.
Oh no, they were garbage. Like, I don't even know. Like,
yeah.
I'm even like, Harper was a weasel, but Harper fucking knew his way to weasel around Parliament.
Yeah.
And Harper was the most successful they've ever had so far. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, buddy. I gotta go. Connor's getting antsy. He doesn't like being used as a prop.
Oh man.
All
right. Well, next time you come through, I'll be sure to fucking jack you back.
Fucking say hi.
I don't want to bother you guys, man. You comedians, never meet your heroes. You comedians have your comedian shit.
You're my hero, Tony.
Oh man, that's too kind. I'm just a regular old fucking Joe in New Westminster, British Columbia.
Dude, New West is sick, man. That's nice.
You know what? Actually, it's the drug recovery capital of Canada, and like only the most primo of get to go to New West for drug recovery.
Yeah, I did see people smoking crack in the street on my way to the show. Anyways, buddy, I gotta let you go. Tony Scarboni, everybody. Good talking to you. All right, that's been the show. Shout out to Dan for joining me as a lovely guest, and shout out to all of you, and shout out to producer Mark for helping me do the show, and most importantly, shout out to Connor Dog. Connor, say goodnight. Connor? He's a little gun shy. He's shy. All right, hold on. His mother would not be happy that I didn't make him look a little more presentable. Come on. There you go. Doesn't he look cute? All right. That's been the show, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me. New episode of The Bathhouse tomorrow night, 9 p.m. The Bathhouse lives. The Bathhouse lives for now. Thank you, everybody. That has been the show. We'll be back. We're no show next week, actually. I'll be in Edmonton, but I'm going to try and do The Bathhouse. I should be back for it next week, but we'll have a new episode of The Bathhouse tomorrow night. And tell a friend. Just be like, hey, this is Wacky Colin Show. The guy's got a fucking dog on his lap. And he's cute, too. All right, good night, everybody. See you soon. Peace.
really a poet, you know it, all my shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Bleep, blow up, nigga, that just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can feel this hit if you up or if you hurtin'. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5, got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenal. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comic through. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. They was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. And they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. Now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit. Ha. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. They was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. Then they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. Now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit. Ha. They don't wanna